His was a complex relationship with fans. A lot of that had to do with numbers. After all, he scored 50 or more over 100 times. Free throw shooting problems, yeah, he was a 52% man, but he set a single season game record, 18 for 18 against the Bullets back in '67. Some folks said he couldn't pass, so one year he led the league in assists. That's Vintage Wilt. A giant legacy continues now with Vintage NBA. A look at Wilt Chamberlain, hosted by Robin Roberts.
Wilt Chamberlain seemed almost a mythical figure, the Paul Bunyan of basketball. But his stature was so huge, his accomplishments so mind-boggling, that no fiction writer could have invented him. During his remarkable career, he set standards that few other players could even dream of approaching. This week, it's the legendary Wilt Chamberlain on Vintage NBA.
Yes, basketball has changed. It's always been a great game, but now it has a new spirit.
He dunks like Dr. J. He might be the new Iceman.
The modern day Wilt Chamberlain.
He looked like Magic Johnson.
The future has arrived.
You are watching what greatness is all about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vintage NBA. I'm Robin Roberts, and for the next hour, we'll profile one of the most dominant players the game has ever seen, Wilt Chamberlain. He ruled the middle for 14 NBA seasons. By the time he was through, he had changed the game forever and left behind a staggering list of achievements. While most of today's players never got to see Chamberlain in his prime, they are well aware of just how great he was. And it's interesting to get their take on Wilt. So this week, we turn the chair over to the Minnesota Timberwolves' Kevin Garnett for his thoughts on the man known as the Big Dipper.
If you hit 100 points, these days, in 1999/2000, can you imagine the phone calls you get? Well, what you think about? What you eat? Woo! Hey, can you imagine your teammates, your coach?
This is Kevin Garnett's basketball game.
Hopefully it's the finals. This is the deciding game. I hit 100 points and we win. The whole universe, the whole planet Earth would be in an uproar. Cool cat. Sit back. Young Wilt to still.
167 to 146. In the Chamberlain. He made it! 100 points.
100 points is crazy. 100 points is not even real.
The most amazing scoring performance of all time. 100 points.
I don't see anybody scoring 100. You know, you see Michael when he was scoring 69, 63, 45. I mean, yeah, that's amazing.
Most field goals, 36, record for Chamberlain. Most points and a half, 59, Chamberlain, a record. Most shots taken, 63.
Man, he was stroke of nature, huh? I don't see anybody doing it no time soon. Nobody.
That's right, Chamberlain has connected for 100 points.
Yo, this is KG, young Wilt the Still, sitting here perpetrating as the man himself. When I played Wilt in the movie Rebound, it had a part with a lot of respect to it.
To score 100 points in an NBA game. Wilt the Still!
Utility wagon from Subaru.
If I was conscious about thinking about, is anyone going to break this record? I'd have probably put that record way out of sight.
That was about the only record Wilt didn't put out of sight. The numbers he put up are simply astounding. A generation after he retired, Chamberlain still holds 56 NBA records, including his famous 100-point game, and averaging 50 points over an entire season. He not only rewrote the record book, but also the rule book. The NBA widened the lane because of his inside dominance. Not that it did much to stop him. Wilt overwhelmed opponents on his way to one of the greatest careers in basketball history.
Chamberlain was a giant.
You have no idea how physically imposing he was.
Strongest basketball player that ever lived.
He still inspires awe among those who watched him play or even heard about him. And even to this day, Wilt Chamberlain cast an enormous shadow.
Here we are, 40-some years later, and his name is still dominant in the record books.
A celebrated star at Philadelphia's Overbrook High School, Chamberlain captured the nation's attention at the University of Kansas. But when he entered the NBA in 1959, few could have imagined the kind of impact he would have.
I came to the NBA as a defensive player. I used to like to go up and grab balls right out of the air. So everyone was afraid of my defensive game, more so than my scoring game.
I think there will be a period of orientation for me, of course, like it is for every newcomer in the NBA, but I think in the long run I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
And from the outset, it was clear that Wilt would dominate scoring like no one else before him.
He averaged 50 points a game one season. That's his average, 50, every game.
His stature grew to epic proportions on March 2nd, 1962. In a game against the New York Knicks, Chamberlain did the unthinkable.
Whoever believed that anyone would score 100 points in one ball game, it was done tonight by Wilt Chamberlain.
I think they had no way to compare what I was doing. It was so far out of the realm of believability, if you such a word, that they had no way to compare. I mean, they'd come to a game, and people came to the game, they said, well, he's capable of scoring 100 points. And every night they were looking for 100 points.
Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, the league's leading scorer for the last 5 years. Chamberlain made nearly 3,000 points during the last season, averaging over 36 points per game. The league's deadliest man under the boards.
But while no one had proven they could stop him one-on-one, Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics were clearly Chamberlain's toughest opponents. While Wilt was breaking scoring records, Russell was revolutionizing the art of defense and was every bit the dominant force that Chamberlain was. Their meetings would produce one of the greatest rivalries in the history of sports.
Go over the history of the NBA, the first 50 years, that's probably as dramatic a matchup as you've ever seen anytime. It was like two titans of the game meeting, and you'd have headlines, Russell versus Chamberlain, and the papers and the fans and everyone played this up.
Wilt was a Paul Bunyan figure, mythic in what he could personally do. Russell, on the other hand, was part of the team, woven into the team more than anybody else ever in any sport whatsoever. It was just two entirely different ways. It was like I think when Impressionism first came into painting, and Russell was the great Impressionist painter, and Chamberlain was simply the realist, the best we'd ever had in simple, literal terms.
While he often had the edge in their individual matchups, Chamberlain was no match for Russell's Celtics. With their superior teams, Boston usually sent Wilt home in defeat.
When that happens, people start to look at one guy as the one who can't win, the other one who can win. Well, Wilt Chamberlain's teams were capable of winning, but they just didn't have the ability to beat those Celtic teams.
It was terribly unfair to brand him a loser. Runner-up to the public is loser. But to the people involved in the game, if you're playing in the last game played that year, you had a hell of a year.
In 1967, Wilt was able to exorcise the demons of his past defeats to Boston. His 76ers knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs en route to winning the NBA championship. But despite winning that title and another with the Lakers in 1972, Chamberlain could never seem to win the public's affection.
The expectations that people had on Wilt sometimes weren't realized because they literally expected him to just win every basketball game he played in because of the magnitude of the man.
His accomplishments on the court are so staggering they almost seem mythical. But the reality was quite clear that Wilt was the game's most awesome figure.
Wilt Chamberlain was the Goliath of his time. He was too big for the game of his time. He had too many tools and too much arrogance for his time. And that would be what I would think of Wilt Chamberlain.
Some of Wilt's records may never be broken. One year he averaged 48.5 minutes per game, meaning he played just about every minute of the season, and overtimes too. And he grabbed 55 rebounds in one game. But his most amazing mark is that, yes, 100-point game. No one's even come near it, except for one player, Wilt himself, who once scored 78. But basketball was just one aspect of his life. And up next, we'll look at the many different sides of Wilt Chamberlain. Later, we'll relive one of his greatest moments, leading the Sixers to the '67 championship. But first, a look at what else was making news back in 1967.
Giving your deck a facelift is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Creating the perfect patio is a snap, step by step. With decks, porches, and patios, you can get step-by-step help for all your outdoor projects. It's filled with crisp...
Sonny pitched in. Everyone had a lot of fun. Hey, Jason. Team up with your community.
This is ESPN Classic.
Welcome back, everyone, to Vintage NBA. We know Wilt Chamberlain was a two-time NBA champion and a scoring champion, but how about Wilt Chamberlain, heavyweight champion? It never happened, but the thought did at least cross his mind. As we log on to NBA.com on the Vintage NBA page, it says that Wilt signed on to fight Muhammad Ali, but the deal fell through. But it's not as far-fetched as you might think, because Chamberlain was a tremendous all-around athlete. He played pro volleyball, played tennis and polo, and in high school and college, he was a star in track and field.
17,000 are on hand for the 48th Drake Relays, one of the Midwest Blue Ribbon track events. Don Stewart, SMU, clears the high jump at 6'6 1/4, followed by basketball star Wilt Chamberlain of Kansas, who matches the mark and wins the coin toss for first place.
Clearly, Wilt was a man of many talents, and they were not limited to sports. He also set new standards with his performance as the world's tallest bellhop. Wilt worked at a hotel in the Catskills one summer while in high school, where he gave summer vacationers an early glimpse of the famous Dipper Dunk. After leaving the University of Kansas and before entering the NBA, Chamberlain toured one full season with the Harlem Globetrotters. And speaking of the Trotters, Wilt has dabbled in the horse trade. He's a bit too big to be a jockey, but does have a keen interest in harness racing. After leaving the Lakers in 1973, he became player coach of the San Diego Conquistadors of the ABA. And like many basketball greats of his time, Chamberlain was at the cutting edge in the world of fashion and also endorsements. As Wilt was rising to fame in the 60s, Madison Avenue took notice. He became one of the first NBA stars to be prominently featured in commercials.
It's TWA's new ambassador class to the East Coast, with enough room for anybody.
Even if you're 7'1" or taller. Little.
So it turns out Wilt could do a little acting as well, and once he even appeared in the film Conan the Barbarian. Of course, his greatest performances were on the court, where he was larger than life. And while Chamberlain dominated the NBA in scoring in the 1960s, other famous stars were dominant as well. 1 year before Wilt scored 100 points, New York Yankee Roger Maris hit a then-record 61 home runs, a record that stood for 37 years. As leaders of the British invasion, both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones ushered rock and roll into a new era. And the godfather of soul, James Brown, continued to reinvent rhythm and blues and help invent the new sound of funk. As for Wilt, his incredible feats made him seem almost superhuman, but even Superman has a weakness. And for Chamberlain, it was free throw shooting. He couldn't seem to get the hang of it. He'd get letters of advice from fans, psychiatrists, even hypnotists. Wilt said he once saw a psychiatrist about the problem, and by the end of their sessions, the psychiatrist was a better foul shooter than he was. But Wilt was doing everything else right in 1967, and so were the rest of the Sixers. They were practically unbeatable. And up next, we'll remember Chamberlain's first NBA title.
Slam, dunk, alley-oop, and fly with NBA Home Video. Nothing gets you closer to the game. Now available on home video, it's Michael Jordan, His Airness. Oh, classic Jordan! 5 MVP awards.
Wilt Chamberlain began his career in his hometown of Philadelphia with the Warriors. Then he found himself heading west when the franchise moved to San Francisco. But in 1965, Wilt was traded back home, this time to the 76ers, and he became part of one of the best teams in NBA history. Chamberlain teamed up with stars like Chet Walker, Hal Greer, and the Kangaroo Kid, Billy Cunningham. And in 1967, they were in a league by themselves, going 68-13, a record at the time. In a special Airwave archive, we've dug up a year-end highlight film about Wilt and the NBA champion Sixers.
Wanting a world championship is one thing. Getting it is another. Coach Alex Hannum explains the route to the playoffs.
I think that we achieved something in our win-loss record over regular season play that will never be equaled again. Losing only 13 games in a long NBA schedule is something that I believe will be virtually impossible for any team to do again. The thing that made this team so great, I think, was a natural maturing of the whole team together. We remember that I coached some of these players up in Syracuse. I coached against Wilt Chamberlain when he was down here in Philadelphia with the old Warriors. I coached Wilt Chamberlain out in San Francisco. Now I had the opportunity, when all of these players are back together again, maturing together, getting better year by year. And so I sum it up by saying that it's the natural maturing of this talent.
Much comment has been made on the change in Chamberlain's style. From loner to an integral part of a five-man team is quite a jump, even for Wilt. Alex Hannum.
This year, I was fortunate to take over a team that had the talent that allowed Wilt to play the style of ball he did this year. It was not necessary for him to score in order to win. It wasn't necessary for him to carry the whole load offensively.
Coach Hannum analyzes the rest of his team.
Hal Greer, I think, is one of the 3 best middle-distance jump shooters in the history of the game of basketball. Hal can hit that middle-distance jumper. He gives us offense at all times. Had, I believe, his greatest year this year. Luke Jackson, I believe, is capable of playing a great center position, but when you're playing on the same team with Wilt Chamberlain, you've got to adapt yourself to playing that forward position, which is exactly what Luke did. We had the most powerful, awesome side as far as rebounding and strength on the front line of any team in the history of professional basketball. Wally Jones, there were some question marks about Wally before the season started, but it didn't take him long to dispel any doubts about his being a great pro basketball player. When the blue chips were in the pot, he hit, and he hit consistently. Chet Walker, his great shooting, his great driving, his great defense, one of the truly great all-around ball players and cornermen in this game. Billy Cunningham has been known as instant offense. He became the 76ers' 6th man. He comes in cold, and he just tears the other team apart. When he's scoring and driving to the basket, which is his game, the name, the Kangaroo Kid, really tells the story, because this is exactly what he is, and he gives us that offensive punch that we need so many times to get us going when things get a little bit dull. Matty Gukas, in his first year as a pro, was of a question mark early in the year, but arrived much sooner than most of us thought he would.
As to his own contribution to the team,
well, I would like to think that I had something to do with putting the whole thing together.
But to become world champions, you must beat the Western Division winner, the San Francisco Warriors. It's that simple. But there are 2 giant complications. A 6'11" center named Nate Thurmond, and a superstar shooter named Rick Barry. Coach Alex Hannum gives a capsule description of these 2 problems.
Rick Barry, in my opinion, is one of the most outstanding, exciting young ball players to come along in many years. Rick has the ability to put the ball in the basket. He, coupled with fellows that can play the defense and get the ball for him, puts together the type of combination that is going to win championship. Nate Thurmond is a center that is starting to rival both Chamberlain and Russell as far as his ability, offensively and defensively. And we have found that you don't win big in the NBA unless you have that really great center.
With Thurmond rivaling Chamberlain under the boards and Rick Barry hitting from all over, the Western Division champs fought the 76ers to a 3-2 count. The place, San Francisco. The time, late in the third quarter of a game that's been perspiringly close all the way. A scoring battle in the first quarter set an NBA playoff record. But now the Warriors have pulled ahead. Rookie Matt Gukas has been inspiring, but Rick Barry and Nate Thurmond have been sensational. Billy Cunningham explains why the top scorer in the playoffs is so hard to stop.
I attempted to guard Rick Barry, but he is by far the toughest forward in the NBA to guard because he is in constant movement.
Watch out, Bill.
Gee.
So close and yet so far away. 3 in the bag. All you need is one more. Tension, tension, tension.
Now it looked again like we were going to let something slip away from us and we were going to have to take it back to Philadelphia.
Late, very late in the fourth quarter, the 76ers finally lead by 114 to 113. But there's always Rick Barry to pull the Warriors ahead. San Francisco leads. Chamberlain is fouled. Ex-Celtic Bill Sharman, now the Warrior coach, relaxes, knowing Wilt's weakness on the foul line. But it's clutch time now. The 76ers take the lead by 1, but can they hold it? Luke Jackson is fouled under the basket. Luke shoots, misses. Chamberlain grabs the rebound. The 76ers have the lead and hold it by 1 until 15 seconds are left. Barry has the ball. Walker guarding.
I got a lot of help from Chamberlain, and between both of us, we managed to stop him, and we managed to force him into a bad shot. Luke Jackson got the rebound, and I think that was the turning point of the game.
San Francisco substitutes Tom Masheri for Jim King for the jump ball with Luke Jackson. The Warriors gain 4 inches on the exchange. Chet Walker gets the tap and is fouled. Chet makes the last 2 points, and the Philadelphia 76ers now have a crown. Chet.
We played so many games during one season, and right away with just another win. But then the next day, it really came down on me. And I realized for the first time that we were the world champion. And it was just nothing in the world could compare with the way I felt at the time.
Jack Ramsey.
It's not easily done. It's a rigorous schedule. The playoffs are hard fought. And the best team does win this. And we were the best team, and we won it.
Alex Hannum.
We knew we could do it. We knew we wanted to do it. We felt that this was the year that we were going to do it.
Chet sums it up.
And we did it the hard way. We did it on the road. It's a great thing to be world champs because you're not only the best basketball team in the United States, you are the best basketball team in the whole world, and that includes Russia and China and every place. And you really don't feel the impact of the whole thing until you, like some nights you sit around or you lie down in bed and you think about it. And then you realize that you are the best. It's a great feeling. Nothing you compare with.
So Wilt comes home with his first NBA title and helps seal the outcome with underhanded free throws of all things. Must have picked that up from Rick Barry. That was the first year Chamberlain did not win the scoring title. But he didn't have to score as much because he had such a great supporting cast. 1 year later, however, Wilt would be on the move once again. He was traded to Los Angeles, where he'd have yet another storybook season in 1972. You'll see it next. But first, a little something to ponder from that year.
The Spurs
has made basketball history with zone, so nothing can stop you now.
This is ESPN Classic.
The 1967 Sixers and the 1972 Lakers were two of the greatest NBA teams ever, and it's no coincidence that they both had Wilt Chamberlain as their center. By 72, Wilt was heading into the twilight of his career. At age 35, he was no longer a big-time scorer, but he was still a force leading the league in rebounding, and he helped lead the Lakers into the history books. They won 33 consecutive games that year, a pro sports record. Here's a look at Wilt and the Lakers in another highlight film straight out of the Airwave archive.
I think, Coach, one of the best plays you get the pick and roll on is 22.
Yeah.
Where you get the ball in close, you take one step in, and you like Elvin came in and dropped the pass. You see?
Yeah.
As opposed to passing it over there.
Well, I should make that clear then. If the pass is not there, if somebody else is open, or if you got a shot before you complete the play, take it.
When Wilt Chamberlain became coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, it was obvious from the start that he meant business. Chamberlain was surrounded by some of the greatest names in the NBA: Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Captain Elgin Baylor. But unexpectedly, after only 9 games, the 13-year veteran retired.
He wound it up in a blaze of glory, an average career-wise 27 points a game, the 3rd greatest scorer in the history of the game, at only 6'5", the 4th greatest rebounder in the history of the game, 10 times an All-Star. Ladies and gentlemen, to make a presentation of his jersey to the Laker owner, Mr. Jack Kent Cooke, here is Captain Elgin Baylor.
Elgin's jersey was retired, and young Jim McMillan, number 5, took over. But after a fast start, the Lakers slowed down. West and Keith Erickson were hurt, and it wasn't until a seemingly routine game against the Baltimore Bullets that the Laker fortunes turned. Behind Wilt Chamberlain's rebounding and Gail Goodrich's scoring, the Lakers led by 4 points after 3 quarters. The Lakers held on to win, and little did anyone realize that more than 2 months would pass before they would lose another basketball game. Records fell and then swelled into a championship roar. The Los Angeles Lakers were off to the finest year ever played in the NBA. After the initial win against Baltimore, Los Angeles picked up momentum until the NBA win streak was in sight. These were team victories now, a team that included a healthy Jerry West. But perhaps their biggest reason for success was number 13, Wilt Chamberlain, whose awesome domination on defense inspired all the Lakers and often started what was to become a familiar sight, at home or away, the Laker fast break. Number 52, Happy Hairston, was frequently on the receiving end of the break pass. And this incredible show wasn't limited to the starting 5. Newcomer John Q. Trapp came off the bench to spark 2 of the victories. Big Leroy Ellis back with the Lakers, and number 12, Pat Riley, seemed to be everywhere at once. And when the ball got to a 3rd new Laker, Flynn Robinson, it was instant points. Consecutive wins 18 and 19 were achieved, and Bill Sharman and his assistant, K.C. Jones, plotted for more. Los Angeles tied the record when they beat Phoenix in overtime for win number 20. Now the record for the most consecutive wins, held by the Milwaukee Bucks, was on the line against the always dangerous Atlanta Hawks. The Lakers poured it on, and they were coasting when Pistol Pete Maravich brought the crowd to its feet, and the Lakers back to reality. With just over a minute to play. The Hawks were closing in, and the record was in jeopardy. It was time for another Laker extra effort, and they got it. Leroy Ellis broke free, and Jerry West hit him for the biggest dunk of the year. And Los Angeles finally pulled away. And then the lightning-quick hands of West struck again, and Atlanta was finished. The record was theirs, and the game ball went to Coach Wilt Chamberlain, the master architect of the new Los Angeles Lakers. Most thought the win streak might end at 21, but it continued, and the attendance grew. Packed houses greeted them at home as well as on the road. The Lakers were now a national sensation. Each game was tougher than the last, and as the pressure built, every opponent wanted to be the one to end the streak. Now, 11 wins after the record 21st, the Lakers were in Atlanta to prove to Hawk coach Richie Guerin win number 21 was no fluke, and they did just that. Coach Sharman had his team ready, and they literally ran circles around the erratic Hawks. Jim McMillan was the game's high scorer with 26 points, and this convincing and unprecedented 33rd straight win now took on more importance as the Lakers traveled to Milwaukee to face the world champion Bucks and their avid fans. The Lakers had already gone the entire months of November and December undefeated, and they certainly didn't want their streak to end here. As the second quarter began, Los Angeles had taken a 2-point lead, and apparently Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was getting frustrated by Wilt's play and the tension of the game. However, Happy's offense couldn't be sustained as he and the other Lakers turned ice cold. They shot a miserable 29% in the first half, while Milwaukee's young guards turned it on. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that Los Angeles countered the Bucks' attack. Flynn Robinson came in and not only whittled down the Bucks' lead, but he did it mostly inside, over Jabbar himself. Robinson seemed to be the spark that the Lakers had been looking for. But when he had helped cut the Bucks' lead to 4, the game's complexion changed. The Lakers could do nothing right, while Milwaukee did nothing wrong. Los Angeles had come from behind before, but the swarming Bucks were just too much. This time, anyway. With the season at the halfway point, it was inevitable that the amazing win streak would eventually be stopped. And appropriately, it was the world champions who ended it with style January 9th, 1972.
There was no aura of invincibility because we're not this good. You know, so look, the Sixers, we knew we were the best. And we had that feeling of invincibility. Never the Lakers. Believe me, it was just a feeling of elation.
My heart is crying, crying.
Everything seemed to just work perfectly. It was like a breakthrough for us. It was that one opening in the clouds that allowed us to win that year. And looking back, and competing in all the other championship series I competed in, there was never that opening there for us to win. This just seemed really easy to do. It seemed like we were destined to win.
In 1972, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and the Lakers won 69 games. That broke the record set by Wilt's Sixers team. But it wouldn't have meant very much without an NBA title. And since moving to LA, the Lakers have been to the finals 7 times with nothing to show for it. They returned in 72 for a rematch against the Knicks, who had beaten them 2 years earlier in the finals. But this time, the Lakers would not be denied.
For the 8th time in 12 years, the Lakers were in the NBA Finals. But standing in the way were the Eastern Conference champion, New York Knickerbockers. They came to town with the sky-high bombs of center Jerry Lucas and a lot more. The Knicks are the most disciplined of the league's teams, and with stars like Bill Bradley and Walt Frazier at every position, they won Game 1 very easily. But with the uncanny assists of Jerry West and the scoring of Chamberlain and Gail Goodrich, the Lakers bounced back and took the next two. In New York for Game 4, the championship pressure was mounting. Happy Hairston's spectacular rebound late in the game took care of a crucial Knicks scoring opportunity. But then Danton Harry tried to take care of Hairston and the rest of the Lakers all by himself. The hex was put on to the East Coast superfans, but the Lakers weren't about to be distracted. Only 30 seconds remained, and Los Angeles decided to set up for one shot. The score was tied, 99-99. As the clock ticked away, the ball went to the greatest scorer in playoff history, Jerry West, and all of New York held its breath. Mr. Clutch delivered again, and with 11 seconds left, the Knicks called time, trailing now by 2 big points. Whatever play the Knicks called couldn't have been the one that took place. Dave DeBusschere forced an off-balance shot that missed, but an amazing Walt Frazier tip-in with 3 seconds left tied the game again. The Lakers didn't hit in those 3 seconds, and Game 4 went into overtime. Coach Sharman knew the Knicks had to win here to stay close to the Lakers in the series. So, when Wilt Chamberlain controlled another big tip, he breathed easier. The overtime period proved to be almost anticlimactic, as the Lakers went right to work. Number 5, Jim McMillan, who had been cold in regulation play, suddenly got hot, and now a quiet New York crowd watched their heroes fall behind. For the third game in a row, Knick coach Red Holzman watched his team go down to defeat. The Lakers returned to Los Angeles just 1 game away from their first World Championship. As they headed from the Forum locker room, the Lakers should have been elated, but they were as apprehensive as their fans because Wilt Chamberlain had a badly sprained right wrist, and even if he could play, no one knew how effective he would be. The packed Forum gave them a thundering ovation, and all eyes watched as the big fellow gave the first test to his bandaged hand. Laker fans thought this was an omen, and they went wild. Despite the defense of Hairston and 14 rebounds by the ever-present Chamberlain, the score of Game 5 was tied at halftime. It was now or never for both teams, but it was the Lakers who jumped ahead. They led by 7 points well into the fourth quarter, and the New Yorkers began to hurry their shots. Their uncanny long-range accuracy deserted them, and the Lakers started running. Los Angeles was on its way to the title, and their championship star fans were delirious with joy. While on the court, the team continued to pour it on. At last it was apparent the Lakers had clinched a championship, and Bill Sharman could take out his starters. A pat for the playoffs' most valuable player. A handshake for the man in the clutch. It was all over but the enjoying. New York's first team got a standing ovation for their determined performance. There was no question about it. Wherever you looked, the Lakers were number 1. At last, the moment Laker fans had been waiting for 12 years. The game and the waiting were over. The Lakers had won the NBA championship. They were the winningest team in history. Most wins in a season. Most consecutive wins. And now the World Championship. After 7 heartbreaking tries, Jerry West had more than earned his reward. But this incredible season was a credit to many men.
Elgin Baylor gave tradition to the team, created by Fred Schaut. Wilt and owner Jack Kent Cooke shared in victory. NBA Coach of the Year Bill Sharman had lost his voice, but his Lakers had won everything else. What better way to end the greatest season ever played than with the title? The Los Angeles Lakers, world champions.
Two years after Willis Reed's famous entrance at Madison Square Garden, Wilt made his own dramatic entrance with that sprained wrist. He wasn't even expected to play in Game 5, but had 24 points and 29 rebounds as the Lakers clinched the title. And Chamberlain was named the Finals MVP. 1 year later, he announced his retirement. Wilt departed with 2 championship rings, 4 league MVP awards, and 7 scoring titles. When you add it all up, he was the game's most awesome offensive force. And we'll look at some of the other great centers who followed him in just a moment.
ESPN Classic. Are you old school?
Welcome back to Vintage NBA. When Wilt Chamberlain arrived in 1959, no one had ever seen a player with this combination of size, strength, and agility. And no one seemed to have an answer for him, with the possible exception of his longtime rival, Bill Russell. During the 60s, Wilt captured the imagination of basketball fans, and he established a tradition of high-scoring centers. Lou Alcindor, who later became, of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, eventually surpassed Wilt as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. While Chamberlain was known for his strength, Kareem scored with grace and finesse, using his majestic skyhook. In the 80s, there was Moses Malone, one of the hardest working men in basketball. He led the Rockets to the 1981 finals with his relentless style, then won the championship with the '83 Sixers. After Moses left Houston, Hakeem Olajuwon followed in his footsteps. Hakeem led the Rockets to 2 consecutive titles and brought new creativity to the center position with his array of spin moves and fadeaway shots. In 1989, the Admiral docked in San Antonio. The Spurs' David Robinson became the only player ever to win an MVP award, Defensive Player of the Year, the scoring title, and the rebounding title. Meanwhile, Patrick Ewing was revitalizing the New York Knicks. When he arrived in the NBA, he was known for his defense, but he evolved into one of the best jump shooting centers in NBA history. But who's the most like Wilt? There's one player who everyone points to.
The Diesel. It's got to be the Diesel. I don't know a guy who can dominate the game by just pure strength more than he can.
I mean, Wilt, he was bigger, stronger, more athletic than all the centers in the league. The same thing is with Shaquille. Now, he's even bigger, more athletic, much stronger physically than the centers in the league. You can't stop Shaquille, just like you couldn't stop Wilt. Only one that could stop them was themselves.
What's unique about, Shaq and Wilt, these guys was fast. These guys get up and down the court.
In low to Olajuwon, deflected by O'Neal. A big man puts it down. Here comes the Diesel. Kobe! A beautiful pass by the Shaq man. Shaq playing point guard.
When it comes to superstar centers, no franchise can top the legacy of the Lakers. It goes all the way back to George Mikan when they were the Minneapolis Lakers. Then came Wilt, then Kareem, and today it's Shaq. But is there any center who can ever measure up to Wilt? We'd like to know what you think, so just drop us an email at NBA.com. You can also browse the NBA history section and check out Wilt's bio, where you'll find out how he became known as the Big Dipper. We'll be right back.
Tour, you can hike, bike, climb, and kayak. You just can't use American Express.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave, sir.
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
In 1973, Wilt Chamberlain closed the books on his record-setting career. Fittingly, his number was retired by not one, but two NBA teams, the Lakers and the Sixers. But that didn't stop teams from trying to lure him back. Even in his 50s, there was talk of a possible Wilt comeback, but it never happened. Still, he's left behind a legacy as imposing as the man himself. Wilt dominated his sport like few athletes ever have, and will always be one of the towering figures in basketball history. Thanks for joining us, everyone, here on Vintage NBA. I'm Robin Roberts, and we'll see you next week.
I introduce to you now the greatest player ever in the history of basketball, Wilt Chamberlain!
This will be a night of thank yous for number 13. I never dreamed of a night like tonight. Thank you.
ESPN Classic is brought to you in part by fees paid by your local cable operator.
The most amazing scoring performance of all time. 100 points for the Big Dipper.
We continue with the Giant legacy along with Fred Carter, our ESPN NBA analyst. I'm Bob Lee, remembering Wilt Chamberlain, who died this past week at the age of 63. Wilt was from Philadelphia. You were from Philly. You grow up playing the city game and you hear about this big guy who went to Overbrook High. What was it like to live in that city and play that game at that time?
Bob, it was interesting and exciting because once Wilt developed the finger roll that everyone thought started with George Gervin, all the kids in the inner city, in the playgrounds, were all trying to learn how to finger roll like the big guys. Some people called it the funnel shot, but he had the first finger roll, and we all tried to emulate it.
His very name, as we said before, was just a metaphor for strength, but he had so many nicknames, as guys in sports do. Everybody called him the Big Dipper or Wilt the Stilt. Now, you spent some time around him. What did he like to be called?
Well, in the playgrounds, no one called him the Stilt for sure. He didn't like it. He detested being called the Stilt. You could call him the Big Dipper, Dippy, but you did not call him Wilt the Stilt. He's the big fella, and everybody else happens to be tall.
That's right. He was big and broad, and so was his legend. Right now, our Giant legacy will continue with a look at Wilt Chamberlain as we continue with classic sports legends.
This time, Will, I'm going to get you now. This time. I guess I didn't get you. No, you had it. You had it. Next basket gets free dinner. All right, you guys better make sure y'all get this on camera, because I'm going to push him out. I'm going to get you now. This time. I guess I didn't get you. No, you had it. You had it. Next basket gets free dinner. All right, you guys better make sure y'all get this on camera, because I'm going to push him out. How long since you've been to a playground?
Oh, it's been a long time. They used to play in, in Philly, on the playgrounds, basketball, but here they play something different. A game of volleyball is played much more aptly here in California.
Which you're very involved with, right?
Love it.
You
grew up in Philadelphia, right?
That's right. That's right.
And you played a lot of sports, and you were good in a lot of sports, too, weren't you?
Well, I think I was good in a lot of sports, right. You know, I started off actually in track and field.
Compared to your classmates, were you
Well,
big then?
3 and 4 inches bigger, but in junior high school, I really just took off. When I got out of junior high school at 9th grade, I was about 6'11".
In 1952, a long-legged schoolboy named Wilton Norman Chamberlain suits up for Overbrook High. The Big Dipper, as he is called, is an immediate sensation. Hopping in 90 points in a single game and averaging 37 per outing, Wilt Chamberlain has college and pro scouts drooling.
You must have had fantastic offers from college. I mean, from all over the country. Everybody in the world must have recruited you.
Well, you know, at that time, they said I probably was the most sought after schoolboy, about 200 to 250 offers, and as you know, I chose Kansas.
In 1956, young Wilt Chamberlain makes his varsity debut as a sophomore. Averaging 30 points, 19 rebounds, and 9 block shots per game, he leads Kansas to a 24-2 record and a berth in the NCAA Finals against top-ranked North Carolina. With the Tar Heels triple-teaming Chamberlain, the game goes into overtime.
It was about 3 seconds to go, and we were 1 point down, and one of our teammates was supposed to pass the ball to me on a high lob, give me a chance to dunk the ball. He threw me a pass about with the 3 guys in front of me, went right into their hands, and I tell you,
you lost your chance to win.
That was it.
You left school your junior year, though. You didn't stay for your senior year. You left Kansas after your junior year. What made you make that decision?
I had some offers which were kind of interesting time. There was a team out called the Harlem Clowns, which was composed of some ex-Globetrotter guys, Goose Tatum and Marcus Haynes, and they sent me a photostep copy of a check for $100,000, and were offering me $100,000 to play with them, tour with them for about 6 months. Now, $100 grand was unheard of money in those particular days. I mean, guys like yourself, y'all make that all the time. Me, hey, you know, $100,000, I would have jumped off the Empire State Building.
You end up really playing for the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's right.
They
Actually,
$65,000 a year or something. But
$65,000 a year, and bonuses if they said that the houses had X amount of people.
Right.
So there I was counting the houses all the time.
With their huge new attraction, the Harlem Globetrotters draw 20% more fans in 1958. While the Clown Princes of basketball show off around the world, 22-year-old Wilt Chamberlain learns to handle the ball. In the midst of the Trotter circus, Chamberlain plays the straight man, wowing millions and honing his skills for a budding pro career.
I feel as though the Globetrotters actually helped me a lot more than people can ever really realize. Even though they were sort of a team that was a clowning team, I didn't really clown. I played basketball.
Well, in 1959, you moved to the NBA your rookie year, and you killed them, didn't you?
Well, it was an interesting year time. It was interesting because I don't think most of the pros expected me to do exactly what I did.
Even against the world's best players, Wilt Chamberlain is simply unstoppable. The 7'1" dunk artist lifts his Philadelphia Warriors from last place to second. As a 23-year-old rookie, Chamberlain is named the league's most valuable player. In his 3rd season, 25-year-old Wilt Chamberlain maintains an astonishing 50-point-per-game average. Then on March 2nd, 1962, against the New York Knicks, Chamberlain chases an unthinkable achievement. After 3 periods, the Dipper has 69 points, and the crowd is buzzing with excitement.
Wilt Chamberlain has a shot at a 100-point game tonight. He's already broken his own record of 78 points in a game. He's scoring at will now. Dunk shot, good. Wilt has 98. Wilt needs one more hoop. He gets a pass, grabs it, and dunks it through. 100 points for Wilt Chamberlain. The most amazing one-man show in basketball history.
I know it seems like a miracle number to a lot of the people, but I could have scored 100 a number of other times. But if I had a better day and had a better cause, I believe it would have been more important to me. But, you know, Tom, you take averaging 50 points a game. To me, that was phenomenal. Right. To go out on the court and say, hey, in order for me to hit my average, I have to score 50 tonight. And if I score anything under 50, then I'm really not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
One thing you did have trouble with, now I know, was free throws, but...
Well, that's where I made my money, Tom.
We're going to play a little horse now.
All right.
We're going to see if I can take some of that money from you.
All right, okay.
All right. I'm first up.
First up, all right.
do this.
Watch, wait, keep your feet right. That's fine. Good.
This next instruction class.
Get the hair out of your eyes. Get the hair out of your eyes.
Oh, no! All right. I'd be looking good here.
That's not bad.
All right, let's go. Underhand or overhand, and you got to stay behind the line.
Behind the line?
Just don't be jumping up here. Left-handed.
Well, that's more like me right there. See what I mean?
The Eastern world, it is exploding.
Now, Cornerstone Promotions brings back the spirit of the 60s with the greatest songs of an unforgettable era.
You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Anybody here see my old friend John? I said, whoa! Good God, y'all! In the white room with black curtains. Don't you want somebody to love? To everything, turn. Baby, I'll be there to shake your hand. Baby, I'll be there to share the land. Come on, people now. Smile.
Spirit of the 60s on 2 cassettes or 2 CDs. Call this toll-free number for Spirit of the 60s. 2 cassettes, $19.98. 2 CDs, $26.98 plus $5.50 for shipping. Have your credit card ready and call now.
Hey guys, if you have thinning hair, call 1-800-HAIR-CLUB now, and we'll send you our new 40-page hair loss update. It covers the most up-to-date information on hair growing drugs and methods, as well as Hair Club's most natural-looking, non-surgical hair development to date.
You don't feel any difference in this hair, this hair.
Now that I am a Hair Club client, I would never go back.
Call 1-800-HAIR-CLUB now and get your free booklet. That's 1-800-HAIR-CLUB.
You know the facts, you've heard the hype, but only SportsCenter brought you sports' biggest stories with insight, info, and attitude. Now, ESPN Classic goes back in a flash with SportsCenter Flashback. This week, how SportsCenter covered the punishing earthquake that rocked the Bay Area and brought the '89 World Series only on ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
There were so many times that you got right to the end of the NBA playoffs and lost to the Boston Celtics. Well, it had to be very frustrating for you.
Of course. I think it's really a tough position to be in when you can go all the way to, you know, like the finals and losing the last minute, the last seconds, and realize that, you know, a point or two was the difference. But for people who are watching, for people who are remembering, they only remember that you lost.
From the start, Wilt Chamberlain's pro career is marred by near misses in playoff competition. Year after year, his teams come up short against the powerful Boston Celtics. In his first 7 seasons, Chamberlain's teams lose 5 playoffs to Boston. Although he is the NBA's top scorer and rebounder, Chamberlain is branded a loser by the press and is widely blamed for his team's repeated failures.
When you lose to the same team, like Boston, and they have a great center like Russell, they tend sometimes to point fingers and say, hey, you know what, you lost because he was better than you. Russell being, you know, the center there of the great Boston teams, and of course the media helped the player play it up and make it for what it was.
Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. Through the 1960s, this duel stands out as the most intense personal rivalry in all of sport and contributes mightily to the growing interest in professional basketball. The 7'1" Chamberlain is a scoring machine. The 6'10" Russell, a defensive genius. Chamberlain consistently out-rebounds Russell and outscores him almost 2-1. But then, Russell has all of the championship rings. So the debate rages on. Who is basketball's best big man? Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell?
Russell, as I said, had a lot of pluses going for him, you know, because he had one job to do and one job only. I had several that I had to do. I had to score at times, to rebound, to play defense. And, you know, I did the best I could. I think that most of my teams did the best they could. I think the Boston teams were just better. The coaching was just better. So, therefore, they won the big ones.
The team was better, but it does not necessarily mean that one individual was better than the other.
Oh, no, I don't think as far as individual talent goes that Russell even comes close.
Well, going to the 1966-67 season, you'd lost to the Celtics 5 times. But now, 1966-67, that season, you put together a tremendous team.
Well, actually, you know, it takes a time for a team to mesh, you know. I believe we had just meshed. And with the addition of Alex Hannum as a coach, I think we had arrived. But we had just some tremendous talent.
In 1966-67, it appears the Philadelphia 76ers have finally found the winning combination.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia 76ers with head coach Alex Hannum. The starting lineup at guards, number 15, Hal Greer. Number 24, Wally Jones. The forwards, number 25, Chet the Jet Walker. And number 54, Luke Jackson. And at center, number 13, Wilt Chamberlain.
At age 30, Wilt Chamberlain is determined to rid himself of that uncomfortable loser's tag. A stronger and more mature Chamberlain tries out the role of passer in his 8th NBA season and finds it much to his liking. With a well-balanced attack, the 76ers win 68 of 81 regular season games to set an NBA record. Still, the Sixers must beat the Boston Celtics in the playoffs or go home losers once more.
Chamberlain backing in on Russell. Finger roll, no good. Battle for the rebound. Chamberlain gets it and lays it up and in.
The tables have finally turned. The Sixers crush Boston in 5 games and earn the right to meet the San Francisco Warriors for the NBA crown.
6th game of the NBA Finals. The 76ers trying to nail down the title. Sixers with the ball here in the 4th quarter. Cunningham, jumper no good. Thurman gets the rebound, and here come the Warriors. Cunningham steals it. Pass underneath to Chamberlain. Wilt's got 24. Sixers by 1. The Warriors need to answer now. Thurman off the front rim, no good. Battle underneath. Wally Jones intercepts. Oh, what a ball game this is. Philadelphia in the driver's seat now. Jones to Luke Jackson. Jump shot, good. That'll lock it up. The Sixers win 125-122. They're mobbing Chamberlain. And oh, is he ever happy. Wilt has finally won the big one.
Meet Patty and Lauren. Patty just became single and moved into a new home. Patty owed this much on her credit card. Yowza. She didn't think she had enough equity to get a home loan and pay off her credit cards. RockLoans.com had the solution. Because she's a homeowner, we were able to pay off all her credit cards and cut her monthly payment by $454. The amazing 125 loan allows you to borrow up to 125% of your home's value. Visit RockLoans.com, America's online mortgage lender.
After getting close so many times, Wilt, to a championship, even in college and then the NBA, finally winning that world championship must have been a great feeling for you.
Well, actually it was. You know, probably it took months for it to really sink in time. But once again, I must, you know, really illuminate on the fact that we had such a great basketball team.
The year after the championship in Philadelphia, breakdown between the front office and the players and the coaches and everything, you get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, to what should be the all-time team ever. You get yourself, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor on the same team.
Well, you know, it should have been, maybe by some people's opinion. I don't think so. Because it's right back to what we were talking before, Tom. Both of those guys are shooters. Right. The Lakers had scorers. I mean, Jerry and Elgin carried the scoring load.
And yourself, too. You were a great scorer.
And I was a scorer then, you know. But unfortunately for us, and it proved to be valid now, Elgin was on his way out. He was on his last legs. He'd given the crowds multitudes of great games, and he was just about through. Jerry had some years left. So really, it was just really Jerry and I as far as the superstar syndrome was concerned. But when you got past Jerry and I, we didn't have anybody else.
1969, at the end of the season, the playoffs, the second game, another dramatic confrontation. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, this time Chamberlain with the Lakers, Russell with the Celtics, 7th game.
Here we go again. The 8th time Chamberlain and Russell have squared off in the playoffs. The Celtics lead by 15 as we start the 4th quarter in the LA Forum. Chamberlain wins the tap. Baylor gets it to Freddie Crawford. Layup. Celtics now trying to hang on. Havlicek, jump shot, no good. Chamberlain gets the rebound, and he calls timeout. The big guy is in pain, and Laker coach Butch Van Wiedekamp is going to have to take Chamberlain out of the game.
I came out in the fourth quarter with a knee problem, have it iced up, and then when it was iced up, I felt like I could go back in. I asked to go back in the game, and Butch just thought maybe the center who was playing was doing a sufficient job. I think, though, Butch really wanted to see the Lakers win without.
The Celtics lead by 3 with just under a minute to play. They can ice it with a basket here. Siegfried trapped in the right corner. Now, Hundo Havlicek in trouble. Ball pops loose to Nelson. Jumper bounces in. What a basket. The Celtics can just run out the clock now. Boston will win its 11th title in 13 years. And we're wondering what happened to Wilt Chamberlain.
In that 7th game, Wilt, of the playoffs against the Celtics, Bill Russell, after the game, which turned out to be his last game, his final game in the NBA, said that the only way you could come out of that game was with a broken leg. And some of his comments did put a strain on the friendship that the two of you had, didn't it?
I would say that we were very, very close friends, and that's why the comment was really something that really kind of got to me, and I looked forward to hearing it come from him some way. I mean, you know, it's not a misquotes, you know, and so I thought maybe it was something that someone had misquoted Russell as saying. Later on, I found out it wasn't a misquote, and I felt as though that Russell should explain it to me, which he never has, and we've never talked since.
The Lakers finally, now a couple years later, get a new coach, Bill Sharman, right? And they get a couple new players, and you guys really put it all together.
Beginning on November 5th, 1971, the Lakers launch a phenomenal winning streak. Against the Atlanta Hawks, LA shoots for a record-setting 23rd straight win.
The Lakers well in control here in the fourth quarter. Goodrich working Maravich on the baseline. Jump shot. Good. Atlanta ball now. Bellamy inside. Blocked by Chamberlain. Hairston outlet pass to Goodrich. To West for an easy 2. The Lakers have done it. Their 23rd win in a row. A new NBA record.
For 10 more games, the Lakers continue their winning ways. Their 33-game winning streak is the longest in the history of professional sports. And Los Angeles is a clear favorite to take the 1972 NBA championship.
The flexible metal frame, Flex-On by Marchon.
When pliers won't grip, ratchets won't click, and wrenches won't fit, you just have to quit. No way! Introducing the Squeeze Wrench. It works in virtually any space and fits any place. Look, in this tight space, an ordinary wrench can't turn. But with the Squeeze Wrench, you can easily tighten with no trouble at all. A simple squeeze of the handle accelerates the Squeeze Wrench to tighten or loosen standard and metric nuts and bolts. Now easily tighten a ceiling fan blade, repair a barbecue grill, or install a light fixture where no other tool has gone before. If you can squeeze toothpaste, you can operate the Squeeze Wrench. You can even reach a bolt behind the oven without moving it. The secret is internal ratchet action that allows you to get power in impossible places, like behind a door handle or in between a crib. Watch, this handheld driver gives you limited power, but the Squeeze Wrench is over 3 times more powerful on the same bolt. Now adjust a rusty lawnmower, install a garage door opener, or tackle any tough automotive job. Hey, stop busting your knuckles with a regular screwdriver, because the Squeeze Wrench comes with these screwdriver attachments. Now any hidden screw is easy to get to. Why spend hundreds on tools when all you need is the Squeeze Wrench? During this special TV offer, you get the Squeeze Wrench, 5 metric socket inserts and 4 standard socket inserts, this 1/4-inch bit adapter, and 2 screwdriver bits, all for only $19.95. But it gets better. As a bonus, we'll include this compact carry case to store your Squeeze Wrench in the kitchen, workshop, or trunk. Yours free. The Squeeze Wrench comes with an incredible lifetime replacement warranty. If it ever breaks, wears, or fails, we'll replace it free for life. No questions asked. So order now.
Credit card customers call 1-800-653-9911 to order your squeeze wrench for just $19.95 and receive the bonus carry case free, or send check or money order to this address. We also accept checks by phone. Call 1-800-653-9911.
The Lakers come out for the 5th game of the 1972 NBA Finals. They need just one more win over the Knicks to wrap up the title. Late in the 4th quarter, Jerry West dribbles right. Gets it back to McMillan. West shakes free against DeBusschere and puts it up. Lakers lead by 14. Knicks with the ball. Bill Bradley running jumpers straight, but it's too late for the Knicks. Now Chamberlain in the lane. Gets his own rebound and dunks it. 24 points for Wilt. This one's in the bag. For the first time in the 12 years since they moved from Minneapolis, the Lakers are NBA champs. Final score, Lakers 114, Knicks 100. A 5-game rout for the Lakers. It's the first championship for Jerry West, the second for Wilt Chamberlain, and a fitting climax to a phenomenal season.
Those guys really played really great together, and we had another year together, so we were the team to beat, and we just really played that way. But as great as that team was, and we won the championship that year, no way does that team compare with the 67, 68 team, I believe, you know. And I say 68.
In Philadelphia.
Right, in Philadelphia. I say 68, even though we lost it, we still were a much better team than any team I'd ever played on.
One thing you got to do for me, just for me, you got to give me your all-time NBA team.
My all-time NBA team.
Guards.
Well, you know, for the guards are easy. Oscar Robertson and Jerry West. That's really very, very easy for me. But the forwards really become a problem because you can have a lot of different choices in forwards, you know. But I think if I had to really pick
two, I
got to go with Rick Barry and Elgin Baylor.
Who would your center be?
You're sitting next to him, brother.
I love it. You might pick two.
All right. Thank you.
Wilt Chamberlain. Career scoring average, 30 points per game. NBA scoring champion 7 times. NBA rebounding champ 11 times. Wilt Chamberlain never fouled out of a single game. Pro basketball's all-time leading scorer and rebounder. Most valuable player 4 times. Wilt Chamberlain, the most dominant figure in basketball history.
This is ESPN Classic, the Classic Sports Network.
Now the year is 1972. It is a magnificent Los Angeles Laker team with Wilt Chamberlain, and they are en route to Wilt's second NBA championship. He was, of course, a perennial All-Star selection, and this All-Star game was played right there in the Lakers' hometown of the fabulous Forum in Los Angeles. One of his All-Star teammates, young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the top 2 scorers in NBA history. Bill Russell was there, but he was in a coat and tie. He was working the ABC Sports telecast with Keith Jackson. This is a treat. The 1972 NBA All-Star Game. Enjoy.
The capacity for the Forum is 17,505, and all the seats are filled in the house that Jack Kent Cooke built here just in the suburbs of Los Angeles. And here are the starting lineups for tonight. On the left, the East All-Stars, and on the right, the West All-Stars. And Bill Russell, these fellows have the privilege of starting in this All-Star game as a result of the vote by the NBA coaches.
Yeah, this is two fine teams, Keith. And, you know, when they first start playing, I think in the All-Star game, the tendency is to overpass, you know, because all these guys are, most of the shooters and scorers, and to show that their team, you know, to feel each other out, they sort of overpass, but they get down to it after a while, and you don't see as much team defense, but you see the guys work hard on individual defense.
We have a most interesting matchup in that backcourt, however, with Walt Frazier going against Jerry West. They're two of the great ones, and it should be fun to watch that one.
Yeah, they should actually neutralize each other, and I think that starting out the first quarter, I think that the matchup between Lou Hudson and Gail Goodrich should be very interesting, because I think that Hudson is probably a natural forward, and and he's playing guard, so that he's kind of out of position. So he may have a little problem keeping up with Goodrich because he's so much smaller and so much quicker.
The West has the ball. The West in the light yellow uniforms, or if you're watching in black and white, it'll be the white uniforms. And Spencer Haywood gives to Gail Goodrich. He shoots over to Hudson, and Goodrich from the Los Angeles Lakers scores the first points of the night. Lou Hudson brings it up. Lou is number 23. Billy Cunningham on a give and go. It's inside. Good pass. And the shot put up by Dave Cowens, and he was fouled. The foul was on Gail Goodrich. Matty Sokol, right there, number 8, one of the officials. The other is Darrell Gerritsen. Dave Cowens on the free throw line will shoot 2 times. His season average for the Boston Celtics, just under 18 points a game. And he is the 4th rebounder, I believe, in the NBA. He is the leading rebounder for the Boston Celtics. Our score is 2-1, and now it is tied at 2-2 in the first quarter of the 22nd annual NBA All-Star Game. The backcourt men are Jerry West and Gail Goodrich. The pass goes in front to Spencer Haywood, bounced in to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Milwaukee Bucks. You can't miss him, can you? The hook is over Cowens. Back iron comes off to Bob Butterbean Love of the Bulls, and he pumps it in. So the West is on top 4-2, and here's Walt Frazier. Silky smooth out of the corner.
Now he's taking a Goodrich down deep, and he can shoot over because Frazier's a big guard.
Bob Love is inside against Havlicek, and he won't go down. And there's Mr. Cowens to show you how he does it.
The key to the fast break is that first pass out, Keith, and Cowens got that one out perfect.
Lou Hudson gets the basket as the result of the outless pass from Cowens, and it's a 6-4 lead for the East. The West with the ball, and that's Jerry West of the Lakers. Feeds it back to Gail Goodrich, who is wide open. He has a season average of right at 26 points per game, and many of them have come from right in that area. Billy Cunningham of the Philadelphia 76ers misses. Follows and can't get it. Tipped good by Cowens.
You know, the big guys have a tendency not to screen out. And that's how Dave Cowens got that, because Abdul-Jabbar didn't screen him out. And then the big guys have to either get the ball or screen out to get real problems.
Gail Goodrich on a drive down the middle. He screams into the night as Matty Sokol says, Gail, you were shoving that defensive man. Can't do that. Gets a foul on it. Gail now 2 personal fouls, and we are at 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. The East leading 8-6 is Walt Frazier. Feeds it back to John Havlicek, who has not taken a shot yet. Great pass to Cunningham, and Billy blew the layup.
I don't think he expected that.
Handled it clean. Here's Jerry West against Lou Hudson, and Bob Love over Havlicek missing. Cunningham clears it out for the East. Billy C. into Havlicek. So it again comes off the rim, and here's the lead pass intended for Goodrich from Jerry West and Hudson. Picks it off for the East. The East leading by 2, 9.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. And you're watching on ABC. Walt Frazier. Jerry West deep for the rebound. Jabbar does not have a rebound as yet. Jerry West all the way, and Kareem loses. Out it comes. Frazier.
Back to the East. They're getting good shots. They haven't made any of them yet, but they've been getting good shots.
Another great pass, and again they miss it inside as Hudson had the ball slapped loose. And here's Jerry West in front court. They go to Bob Love. He is fouled by Hudson. Spencer Haywood gets the basket. Haywood is wearing number 2, Bob Love wearing number 10. Some of the players have retained the numbers of their home teams, some have not. Free throw comes out as the Sonics' big forward misses, and Lou Hudson has it, working against Gail Goodrich. Billy Cunningham follows and cannot get it to go down.
I think Cunningham thinks they put a lid on that thing. He's missed a couple of nice ones.
Goodrich dribbles it right into the hands of Billy Cunningham. And here comes the East. The score is tied at 8-8 as Walt Frazier unties it and gives the lead back to the Eastern team. Stolen by Frazier. Jerry West knocked it out of bounds.
Two great defensive plays right there. And those two guys are two top defensive guards in the league.
You know, Jerry West wears a size 38 sleeve. He's got long, long arms. West has had 4 turnovers as Havlicek shoots out of the corner and won't get it. Jerry West tapping to the rebound, goes to Spencer Haywood. Coming up at halftime, the first of the NBA one-on-one championship. Here's Haywood, faking. Well, starts his move, and a whistle stops it. Billy Cunningham gets the personal foul.
So far, Keith, the West hasn't been able to take advantage of their height, tremendous height advantage. They haven't played to it yet. So if they keep this up, they're going to let it be a real tough ball game for themselves.
Spencer Haywood averaging 25.5 points per game for Seattle, Lenny Wilkins Ball Club. We're going to see Seattle and the New York Knicks next Sunday at 2 Eastern Time on ABC. Havlicek missed it. Gets a second chance, misses again. Jerry West commits the personal foul. Well, the East, as you noted, Bill Russell, have had their shots.
Well, they've had some great shots. I'm surprised they've missed so many of them.
They're 4 out of 13.
And they're getting second shots, too. When you consider the tremendous height advantage the West has, that's unusual. But they would get so many second shots.
11-9. The East leads 12-9. They lead by 3. Biggest margin of the game. 8 minutes to go. First quarter. Jerry West up against Lou Hudson. Jerry works in there, takes it up, feeds it back, intended for Jabbar, and Kareem handles it. Hard pass to West. Goodrich almost loses to Frazier. Has to give it back to Jerry West. Now they'll go inside to Bob Love.
See, that's where they got to take the ball. They got to take the ball inside on this squad. Because they got such a height advantage. If they don't take it inside, then they're just not using their brains.
Bob Love of the Chicago Bulls got the bucket to make it 12-11 East. Billy Cunningham of the 76ers drops one through there.
He'll be all right now.
Yeah, he got loosened up. Billy C. Goodrich against Frazier. Bob Love. Spencer Haywood, top of the key. He shoots over Cunningham. And Havlicek has it on the rebound. Here comes the Celtic. Oh, great pass. Cowan missed. Falls.
Not
He's
too
all
much
right.
contact. Not too much contact.
Here's Bob Love of the Bulls. 6 points for Bob Love. Team rebounds, East 9, West 7. 6:45 to go, first quarter. 14-13. Blocked by Jabbar. Goaltending. Basket goes to Billy Cunningham. And we've got a timeout with 6 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the first quarter of the 22nd annual NBA All-Star Game from Los Angeles. Our score, East 16, West 13.
This ESPN Classic presentation is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You just discovered that your new set of wheels has no set of wheels. For Hank.
This is ESPN Classic.
Score is East 16, West 13, and Dave DeBuscher has come into the lineup for the East team. Replacing Billy Cunningham, DeBuscher is number 22, and that's Mrs. Jerry West and son. All right, here comes Jerry. He has not scored in the ball game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar working against Cowens, goes up with a shot, basket counts, and Dave fouls.
That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to go inside with Love, because he's got great moves inside. Jabbar's got to overpower these guys in order for them to break the game open.
First basket of the night for Kareem, who is the NBA's leading scorer, and he got a rousing welcome when he walked into the home of the Lakers, didn't he? They really jumped on him. Fifth time the ball game has been tied. It's tied at 16 with 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Here's Frazier loose on the baseline. Walt missed it. And Haywood pursues. It's out of bounds. It'll be West ball. Our lineup for the West is Goodrich and West of the Los Angeles Lakers in the backcourt. The front line, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Milwaukee, Bob Love, Chicago Bulls, and Spencer Haywood, Seattle Supersonics. Goodrich, short. Rebound, Cowens. Long pass to Havlicek, tipped out of bounds by Goodrich. I'll tell you, Mr. Cowens is only 6'9". He's about 220 pounds, but he takes up a lot of room under that defensive board, doesn't he?
He's a big, strong kid, and he's tough as nails. He thinks he can go through a wall.
Dave DeBuscher, one of the great ball players anywhere, misses on the shot, and it goes out of bounds.
You know, Keith, in most games, most of the rebounds are taken below the height of the rim. But in games like this, with these guys, most of the rebounds are taken above the rim.
The whole game played above the rim. Offensive rebounds, East 5, and the West only 1. The East with the ball, Walt Frazier of the New York Knicks, John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics. With
You know, Keith, the reason the East is out-rebounding on the offensive boards is they know that they got to screen out because the other team has such a height advantage, and the West squad is not screening out. And that explains the difference in the offensive rebounds.
Bob Love almost losing at the top of the key. Goodrich is out of the corner. Missed it. Bob Love the rebound. Missed it. Bob Love's going to get another shot. Dave Cowens this time gets it out of there. Did it by himself. Frazier, great move. Feeds it to DeBuscher. Hudson, look what I found. Can't shoot. Havlicek. Blocked by Jabbar. 2 points. Havlicek now with 6 points. And the East leads by 4.
You know, that's a tough thing that John's doing, but that's what you have to do with the big guys. You got to challenge them, take those shots, make them block them. Sometimes they're going to get the goaltending call, and that kind of discourages them.
Well, unless he anticipates, you've got at least a 60% chance to get the goaltending call, don't you?
Right.
Love picks one up, pumps it up, and Bobby is fouled.
Now, I think the East guys are letting up. Now, they're not screening up because the last 3 times down, the West has got 2 or 3 shots at them.
And we have 4:58 to go in the first quarter with a timeout here at the Forum in Los Angeles. The East is leading the West by the score of 20-16.
Did you know that Federal Express, Nike shoes, and even H. Ross Perot have made their millions using government money programs, and you can too. I'm Matthew Lesko. My new book shows you 15,000 programs that you could use to get a better job, get an education, or start your own business. Those who know about the programs are the ones who get the money.
You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful.
ESPN Classic.
You're looking at the West team. Oscar Robertson, number 1, has pulled off his jacket. He will go into the ball game, replacing Gail Goodrich. Wilt Chamberlain is into the lineup now, replacing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those are the lineups as Jack Marin comes in for the East team, along with Wes Unseld, a pair of Baltimore Bullets. The West, 47% from the field. The East, 39.5% from the field, but the East had a great number of shots in close that they've not been able to get.
Right, that roll around the rim and out. You know what's the interesting thing is that this is Oscar Robertson's 12th game. And 11 previous times he's been in the All-Star game, he's been on a winning team 10 times. And I don't think it's luck.
Bob Love at the line. Big Chicago Bull, averaging 27+ per game. 3 for 6 from the field, 4 rebounds in the ball game. Leads the West, both points and in rebound. Comes out. Dave DeBuscher controls the rebound for the East. The East squad in the dark uniforms, leading 20-16. We're at 4:45 to go in the first quarter. That's Walt Frazier of the New York Knicks. Here's Jack Marin of the Bullets. Lou Hudson, the Atlanta Hawks. Wes Unseld working against Wilt Chamberlain. The shot by Marin, short off the front rim. DeBuscher follows. Unseld, beautiful pass to Hudson.
Now, that's what the East is going to have to do. They're going to have to move their ball around and get it inside.
East is out on top by 6 now as Oscar Robertson of the Milwaukee Bucks brings it up. Goes into Wilt Chamberlain of the Los Angeles Lakers. Back to Oscar. He's wide open. Missed it. Unseld, Hudson, Frazier. West, the only man there. Can't stop him. And it's an 8-point lead for the East. Oscar to the corner to Bob Love of the Bulls. He's looking for Haywood. Gets it to him. Haywood against Dave DeBuscher. Beautiful shot. He's found himself this year, Bill.
Yeah, he's playing on the basketball court most of the time instead of being in court most of the time. So he's really having a great year so far.
Haywood is
rebounder, too.
Oh, my goodness, he was 6 feet over the rim to get that one. Here comes Jerry West. Jerry's shot won't go. DeBuscher, the rebound. Feeds it to his teammate, Walt Frazier. That's off the rim to Wilt Chamberlain, who is the leading rebounder in the NBA. Jerry West on a drive. At 3:15 to go in the first quarter, it's 24-20 East, and Jerry West just scored his first points of the ball game. Jack Marin has it slapped out of his hands by Bob Love. Here comes JoJo White of the Boston Celtics into the lineup, replacing Lou Hudson in the backcourt. And from the Phoenix Suns, Connie Hawkins, number 42, replaces Bob Love of the Chicago Bulls. So Mr. Love goes sit down. Here's the shot by White. JoJo just got on the floor, hardly warm, and got one up.
Well, that's a typical Celtic move. Get out there shooting from the bench. You know that this is the first time since '68 that the Celtics have had 3 guys in the All-Stars.
The East has had 5 shots at it when they take this one.
And they're not giving up yet either.
They will get 6.
This is what you call a saturation method. If you shoot enough of them, something's bound to go in.
Jack Marin has it knocked
Maybe.
Is that right?
Maybe.
Jerry Kapstein, 7 shots or 6 shots? 6 shots.
There's a whole bunch of them, I can tell you that.
Well, you were right, Bill Russell. You said they'd play it above the rim, and they have. Walt Frazier working against Oscar. Good pass to Unseld, almost stolen by West. 3 seconds on Unseld. So it's a turnover for the East.
3 seconds and 7 shots.
West plays it in. Jerry West and Oscar Robertson in the backcourt for the West. How about that for a pair? Haywood sets the pick for Oscar.
I'd like to meet the payroll of those 2 guys in the backcourt.
No thanks. Oscar missed it. Unseld the rebound. JoJo White 2-on-1. Frazier. Walter scores it.
That was a beautiful fast break, and it was set off by Unseld's quick release pass. That's what you got to do to get a fast break working. That rebounds out. Get that ball out of there quick.
Here's White stealing, and on a solo score, and it's an 8-point lead for the East.
That's teaching them, JoJo. Show them what the Celtics can do.
Here comes Oscar.
Now, Oscar was waiting for Chamberlain to break to the bucket then on the pick, like a give and go.
Connie Hawkins off the pick set by Wilt Chamberlain. Jack Marin ran into it and stopped cold, and Connie Hawkins of the Phoenix Suns gets his first points of the ball game, and it's a 6-point lead for the East. Wes Unseld of the Bullets gives to Dave DeBuscher of the Knicks, and DeBuscher hits one.
You know, I keep thinking that's a bad shot, but, he makes it so consistently, I'm beginning to change my mind about that.
He's only shooting 62% or something from that particular area. They're all great marksmen, Bill. They really, truly are. Gifted, graceful athletes. Here's Haywood. Spencer Haywood. Venture now with 7 points in the ball game. So the Big Sonic having a good night. And it's a 6-point lead for the East. The pass goes to Dave DeBuscher.
Ooh. That was a heavy pick that Unseld sit on him, and that's smart.
Yes, well, he's got the size. He's one of those fellas, as you said some time ago, when you run into him, you know you have been there. Jerry West out of the corner.
Yeah, the next time you come by him, you say, pardon me.
Yes, sir. It's now a 4-point lead for the East over the West. And we get a time here as we get more substitutions coming into the ball game. Here comes Elvin Hayes of the Houston Rockets into the ball game. Jerry West is going out.
You know, Keith, on that foul, you know, Frazier shot the ball up after he got fouled. I remember once we lost the game on that. The guy was going to foul intentionally. He threw the ball up and went in, and he got 3-point play. And we were trying to foul to give him one shot. They had never 3-point play. We lost the game by 1 point.
Were you coaching? Was Red coaching?
Oh, no, that was Red's job.
Okay.
Not me. You think I take credit for that, do you?
Walt Frazier is on the line, shooting the free throw with 38 seconds to go. Cassie Russell has come into the lineup for the West. You saw him walk on, number 32 of the Golden State Warriors, the former great All-American from Michigan. The East continuing to dominate the offensive rebounding. Here's Walt Frazier. Basket counts, and there is a foul. Walt Frazier, 10 points, 5 out of 8 from the field. Foul is on Cassie Russell of the Golden State Warriors. And the East with a 32-26 lead, 27 seconds to go. First quarter NBA All-Star game from the Forum in Los Angeles, the home of the Los Angeles Lakers. First time the NBA All-Star game has been played in this building. Second time it's been played in Los Angeles. Frazier makes a 3-point play out of it. And the East has a 7-point lead. Offensive rebounds, the East 10, the West 5, as the West comes up with Oscar Robertson handling the ball. Connie Hawkins and Jack Marin in the corner working against each other. Oscar looks into Wilt, gives it to him, gives it back to Cassie Russell. Won't go. Chamberlain slaps it up on the board, rebounds it.
Just small step.
And dancing around in the lane, there was contact made. I think Dave DeBuscher got tapped for the foul.
He didn't hit him about 4 times. But not very hard, though, Keith. Not very hard.
Jack Marin's the man who gets tabbed for the foul. So Wilt goes to the line. And the West is now in the penalty of the bonus, as a result of the East having 5 team fouls. 5 seconds to go in the first quarter. Wilt missing the first one. He is not a great threat at the foul line, though he has done better, I think, this year than any time in his career. He makes the second, and it's a 6-point lead for the East. 4 seconds. Archie Clark is in the lineup. Archie's shot won't go. Chamberlain rebounds it, and the first quarter is over. And at the end of 1, here in Los Angeles, our score, the East 33, the West 27. We'll return for the second quarter in just 1 minute.
ESPN Classic. Name the last team to sweep a World Series.
If you can beat these guys, you know you're old school.
This is ESPN Classic.
Let's look at the lineups as we go to the second quarter of play. The 22nd annual NBA All-Star Game for the East. Wes Unseld, Dave DeBuscher, Jack Marin, JoJo White, Archie Clark. Archie Clark coming in just at the close of the first quarter. And the tip goes up. Wilt Chamberlain for the West. Elvin Hayes for the West. Oscar Robertson. Connie Hawkins. Cassie Russell. Here's Elvin. Big E from the Houston Rockets. Gonna pump. Oh. Well, he shot it through a lot of limbs, but he got it.
Yeah, you know, he's a great shooter, especially for a guy that size from that distance. He's a great shooter from outside.
JoJo White of the Boston Celtics answers for the East, and the East retains its 6-point lead. In the first quarter, the East had 13 more shots at the basket than did the West. 13. Connie Hawkins. Oh.
Makes it look easy, doesn't it?
He is absolutely remarkable at times, though, and he has a good day. The rhythm is going, and he gets the feel of things. Here's Wes Unseld of the Baltimore Bullets shooting from outside. The rebound to Connie Hawkins of the Phoenix Suns, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Oscar Robertson brings it up for the West team. West team in the light yellow, that's Cassie Russell, the Golden State Warriors, and Wes Unseld kicks it out of bounds. Here comes Bob Kaufman, replacing Jack Marin. For the East, Bob Kaufman of the Buffalo Braves.
You know, Keith, it's kind of remarkable. You take Bob Kaufman and Bob Love both. They went around to 2 or 3 teams, you know, before they found a spot for themselves, and now they're all-stars consistently.
That's right. The basket good for the West, and it's a 35-33 ball game, a 2-point lead for the East now as Archie Clark works. The East weaving it out in front to Busher, number 22. Bounce pass inside to Archie Clark. Wilt comes over to pick him up. Hayes guarding inside, and out of the corner, that's Kaufman.
That's a pretty deep place for a center to be shooting.
Well, he can play that front line anywhere, you know. He's a very versatile basketball player. Archie Clark takes it away from Cassie Russell. Pass to JoJo White. Kaufman to White.
That's what these guys are capable of doing. They can pass so well. That's what these games are all about. The guys are so talented.
Well, they scored 4 points in 5 seconds. Foul. Connie Hawkins will go to the line. Billy Cunningham comes back into the ball game. The foul was on Bob Kaufman. Cunningham, number 32, in, and Dave DeBusschere, number 22 of the New York Knicks, is out. Cunningham of the Philadelphia 76ers. Connie Hawkins on the line will shoot 2. Connie averaging 21 points a game for the Phoenix Suns. The first one is good. Connie has 5 points. All of them coming here in the first 2 minutes of the second quarter.
You know,
a 4-point lead.
You know, Keith, he's so smooth. It looks like he's not hustling half the time because everything looks so easy for him. But he worked real hard out there.
That's JoJo White of the Celtics. And Billy Cunningham. Archie Clark of the Bullets. Archie. So Archie Clark drops one through, shooting over Chamberlain. And it's a 6-point lead for the East at 9.5 minutes to go in the first half. Elvin Hayes goes inside to Hawkins and is slapped away by Billy Cunningham. So the West will keep the ball baseline front court. In it comes to Oscar. Robertson against Clark. Flips it back to Wilt. Back to Oscar. Shoots over Archie Clark. Oscar Robertson. In the second quarter, the East 4 out of 6 from the field, and the West 4 out of 5 from the field. And it's a 4-point lead. As Wes Unseld shoots out of the free throw circle, and Wilt Chamberlain rebounds it. Oscar Robertson for the West.
You know, Keith, in this type of game, you very rarely have plays. You just say, guys, listen, let's freelance, let's move the ball around, and let's just try to play together. When a man's open, hit him, you know. And these guys are so great. At about the middle of the second quarter, it looked like they've been playing together all the time.
That's right. Billy Cunningham, incidentally, went a mile high to get the rebound, had control. He was fouled by Connie Hawkins. First personal foul on Connie. It is the first team foul here in the second quarter for the West. And Cunningham goes to the line with 4 points, 6 rebounds. 3 of those rebounds have been off the offensive board.
I think if the West is going to blow them away, which I think they're capable of doing, they're going to have to screen out first. Although they got a big size advantage, they're going to have to screen out to keep the East squad off the offensive board, because you can't give a team that many shots, especially great shooters they got out here.
Billy Cunningham had 2 free throws because it was a backcourt foul. In the judgment of the officials, he did have control of the basketball. He was on the floor when he was fouled. Thus, it was a backcourt foul, and he converted both. Bob Kaufman forces Oscar Robertson into a bad pass. Here comes JoJo White. White now with 8 points. And an 8-point lead for the East. It goes to Chamberlain. Back to Connie Hawkins, and a whistle. Let's go to some slow motion and watch as the West comes to the attack.
what is probably the most dangerous pass in basketball is a cross-court pass. If you can't really make that, it's very dangerous, because this is what the result is. If you don't be careful in that cross-court pass, the most dangerous pass, and the one that coaches just hate to see.
Connie Hawkins making the free throw. 7 points, 2 rebounds, 8:18 to go. First half, East 45, West 38. Shot comes off to Hawkins. Almost intercepted by JoJo White. Cassie Russell has it front court for the West team. Cassie's going to gun. The tip, slapped out. Hayes losing the rebound battle to Unseld inside, but outside Cassie Russell gets it. And the shot short. Partially blocked by West Unseld. And here comes the blue-clad East team as Billy Cunningham takes it in, and Cassie Russell, or is it Elvin Hayes, fouls it. Big E commits the foul. Coming up at halftime with Bill Russell, we'll have a first of the NBA one-on-one championship. And it matches Jerry Lucas of the New York Knicks and Don May of the Atlanta Hawks, and I think you'll enjoy it. Into the lineup, here comes big Bob Lanier of the Detroit Pistons. He is number 16 right there in the left corner of your screen. In for the West team.
You know, Keith, the East squad is doing what they're going to have to do to win this game. They're getting the ball down fast, and they're getting real good percentage shots usually, because if they wait to set it up, the big guys in the middle will make them have to take tough shots, and so they got to rush that ball up and get the good shot. Plus, they're playing good defense, because they've picked off about 3 or 4 passes. Speak the devil, they've picked up another one.
That's right, and Billy Cunningham, nobody to beat, scores his 10th point of the ball game. Billy Cunningham. And the East now stretching it out to their biggest lead of the ball game. 49-38. In it goes to Elvin Hayes. Hayes working over Kaufman is fouled. Take a look at that theft by Billy C.
Yeah, see what he did, Keith. He stepped out of the passing lane, and then just after the pass was thrown, he stepped into the lane and off and running.
Archie Clark, number 21, down there to run interference for him.
Yeah, just in case, you know, your guy may miss.
East has stolen the ball 6 times. Turnovers, the West leads in that department 9-2, but that's the only place to lead. 49-39. Big E on the line. Makes a pair. So it's a 9-point lead for the East as Archie Clark brings it up. Bobby Kaufman of the Buffalo Braves, number 44, sets the screen. Beautiful pass. Clark to Unseld. So a couple of bullets combined for a bucket, and it's an 11-point lead for the East with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. That's Hayes to Lanier. Good shooter from outside. Cassie Russell shoots over JoJo White. Won't go. Cunningham beats Hayes for the rebound. East looks smooth, easy. JoJo White. Tipped by Unseld. Comes off to Paul Silas of the Phoenix Suns, number 29, and Paul calls timeout. So with timeout here in the second quarter, 6:38 to play. Our score, East 51, West 40.
This ESPN Classic program is sponsored in part by Michelin. Watch College Game Day Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern and find out how you can win with Michelin and ESPN. This is ESPN Classic.
This is Keith Jackson along with Bill Russell. They are the leading scorers in the ball game so far for the East All-Stars. The East dominating the ball game, Bill, and I'm surprised. I don't mind admitting it.
No, it's not surprising in that they know they're underdogs, and they've got to hustle a little harder. They're doing more of the fundamental things, and they're really got their heads up, and they're doing the things that you ordinarily wouldn't do, you know, in a regular game, because they know that they're up against an overpowering team if they let them get started.
Cassie Russell scored the basket for the West. We have substitutions. We'll pick them up as we go along. Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics back in the game. Archie Clark tries to feed it inside. Bob Lanier of Detroit kicked the ball. Paul Silas of the Phoenix Suns in the lineup. Jimmy Walker of the Detroit Pistons has come into the West lineup. Cassie Russell stays in. Here's the inbounds pass to number 20. That's Butch Beard of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Billy Cunningham having a great night. Here's Tom Van Arsdale of the Cincinnati Royals. In and out on the shot. The rebound to Bob Lanier of Detroit. Feeds to Jimmy Walker. Down it goes to Sidney Wicks, the only rookie in the ball game from the Portland Trailblazers. And it is tapped out of bounds. Billy Cunningham just proceeding for his third personal foul, and there are the matchups as they are on the floor at this time. Dave Cowens can't get out from under all those trees, can he? He's got Lanier, he's got Jabbar, he's got Wilt Chamberlain to contend with. The free throw was good. And it's an 8-point lead for the East at 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Here is Archie Clark. Clark's working against Cassie Russell. Billy Cunningham. Rebound to Jimmy Walker. Outlet pass to Cassie Russell. Leaves it for Bob Lanier. Good shooter. That one won't go. Cowens the rebound. Fires for Clark. And it's in the seats. Coming up at halftime, the first of the NBA one-on-one championship competition between Jerry Lucas of the New York Knicks, Don May of the Atlanta Hawks. It'll become a regular halftime feature in NBA basketball here on ABC. Tom Van Arsdale of the Cincinnati Royals.
You know, Keith, with the Van Arsdale twins, you know, they're always on different teams. When we were playing against them, I used to have to ask the guys, which one is this?
Yes, they do look alike, and there's no question about it. That's 12 points for Billy Cunningham, who just scored that basket. I'll tell you one thing, it's unusually very rare you find two young men so gifted. And the foul on Dave Cowens as Bob Lanier put a good fake on him, got him up there, and...
Well, Keith, in order to get fake like that, you have to be hustling. Because you got to anticipate a guy taking a shot, and you got to gamble just a little bit. You got to move. If you move after he moves, then you can really go get in foul trouble. So you got to take a chance. And whenever you see a guy really getting faked out of the building, that's because he's hustling.
There is a piece of perspective for you to remember the next time you see one of your own Warriors sailing through the air and going into the seats. When you extricate him, slap him on the back. Say, way to hustle.
You're mean.
Bob Lanier on the line. Misses. West is 10 out of 15 from the line.
You know, the previous All-Star games in Keith, they used to have that you'd have only the scorers and the shooters in the All-Star games. But now you're getting a lot more of the well-rounded ball player in the All-Star games. The guys, you know, in the old days, a guy averaging 10, 15 points would never have a chance. And you got a lot of guys in here that are averaging under 20 points. And that shows how much more knowledge people have about basketball than they used to have.
One of the great all-around players right there just scored, Archie Clark. Here's Jimmy Walker gunning away. Air ball cleared out by Cunningham. High hard one down the court to Archie Clark. Here's Cowens. Pass to Beard. The Cavalier from Cleveland misses. The rebound to Sidney Wicks of the Portland Trailblazers. The All-American from UCLA. Paul Silas missed the layup. He was bumped just before he went for the basket. Here's the pass to Beard, and Butch missed it. He won his trip to the All-Star game on a coin flip. He's had 3 shots, and he's failed to connect so far. Here's Paul Silas, who lost 25 pounds. The hook shot won't go down for Cassie Russell, and there's Dave Cowens again.
The West is not hitting the offensive board at all. In order to stay in this game, they're going to have to hit the offensive board, and they're going to have to go inside. And they're not going inside. They're taking the fringe shots, and they do this, and they're going to stay 10 to 12 points behind.
Dave Cowens dropped one through to make it a 57-45, 12-point lead for the East. And Archie Clark now with 4 assists.
See, Sherman doesn't know it, but Hines is outsmarting him. He doesn't know that. Those two Celtic guys really got it together.
Sidney Wicks shoots from the foul circle and hits. So Sidney gets one. And it's a 10-point lead. Well, why the West? Why is not the West forcing the ball inside, going to the big man? And Jabbar is getting ready to come back in.
Well, not only will they have to just push it in there, they're going to have to take the ball inside. In other words, no matter who takes a shot, they're going to have to drive, get some free throws. So they're not getting very many free throws. They're going to drive in and get free throws. And then they're changeovers. See, now the way they're shooting, they're not changing from offense to defense very effectively. That's why the East are getting good shots, because the West not back on defense. That's because they're not going inside on the other end of the court.
Well, we've got a timeout called with 3:17 to go in the second quarter. The NBA All-Star game in Los Angeles, and the East is leading the West 57-47.
If you're a woodworker, you know there's nothing like taking a piece of wood cutting it, shaping it, finishing it to create something of pride and lasting beauty. And there's nothing like this. 101 shop tips for woodworkers, yours free. It's full of clever shop tips and techniques that will save you time and money, like the quick trick for making wood plugs, or how to insert a dowel with a shop-made depth gauge, the fail-safe way to bore wide.
Russell's all-time NBA team. Elgin Baylor, Bob Pettit, Jerry West, and Oscar Robertson.
Yeah, those guys are just so tough, and so they're head and shoulders, you might say, above the rest of the guys. But there are guys that come close, you know, that is a bit of a step below. These guys are just...
Yeah, but I only counted 4. Who would you name as the big man?
The guy that's picking the team.
Well, I would agree with you. Out of the corner, the East comes up with a 74th point. And for Walt Frazier now, he has 15 points. So number 10 of the Knicks having a big night. Here's a beautiful pass to Connie Hawkins of the Phoenix Suns, and Connie stuffs it. And let's check the lineup now for the East as Walt Frazier brings it down. With Billy Cunningham back on the court, John Havlicek, Wes Unseld, and Dave DeBusschere. And Cunningham shoots, misses off the front. Inside the rebound is cleared by Haywood. Fed ahead to Hawkins. Here's Jimmy Walker of the Detroit Pistons back in the lineup. Jabbar stays on the court. And the drive by Oscar, and he is fouled.
You notice the difference now that the West is coming back, okay, is that they're going to the basket. And now the East is staying outside.
And you see the strength here of Oscar. He's a big, strong man as he works inside. And then the ability of Connie Hawkins to take that ball and slam it through there.
He's got great moves going to that bucket. He gives you a lot of motion.
Oscar Robertson at the free throw line, averaging 17.5 points. Missed the first one. The East shooting 39% so far, and 30 out of 77. The West 41%, 28 out of 68. And the East with the ball outside. Dave DeBusschere. Beauty. And the East jumps back into a 5-point lead at 4:25 to go in the third quarter.
Now, the West is starting to take the ball inside, Keith, and that's where they start to catch up. And then the East is starting to shoot outside. So they're going to have to go back to going inside and challenging the big guys. If they don't do that, then they're going to... Oh, some move there. Some move, huh?
You need a posse to stop a shot like that.
That was some move. That's what I mean by a lot of motion.
We've got 4 minutes and 2 seconds remaining to play in the third quarter, and we've got a timeout in the NBA All-Star Game. The score now, East 76, West 73.
Countless mornings at the lake.
Wednesdays at 9, only on ESPN Classic. Are you old school?
This is ESPN Classic.
Let's take another look at that last shot. Mr. Connie Hawkins of the Phoenix Suns.
Is that a beautiful motion? Like, he gives it a pump. Beautiful.
And we go back to live action. The East with the ball, and Archie Clark back in the lineup. Gives it away to Billy Cunningham. Missed the shot. Spencer Haywood clears the board for the West. Oscar Robertson, Jimmy Walker, Connie Hawkins, and Kareem Jabbar. Jabbar down court now, sets a pick for Walker. Drives off of it and scores. So now we've got a 1-point lead for the East as the West has steadily come back here in the third quarter. Archie Clark of the Baltimore Bullets drives by Wes Unseld, also a Bullet. Here's John Havlicek from outside, missing. And Connie Hawkins.
And they're taking all outside shots now, Keith. And that means that they're not getting back and setting defensively.
How about Mr. Walker? Jimmy Walker now with 7 points in the ball game at 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the West has taken the lead 77-76. Archie Clark cut off by Haywood. And Manny Sokol spots something. Only 4 players have scored for the East here in the second half.
You know what happens to the big guy when he gets one of the little guys outside, Keith? The air gets thin.
Haywood committed the foul. That's Spencer's second personal foul. And Jack Marin has returned to the lineup for the East. Here goes Spencer Haywood out for the West. And coming in is Paul Silas of the Phoenix Suns, and Archie Clark of the Baltimore Bullets is on the line for the East. The West is leading 77-76, and now we've got a tie at 77. Oscar Robertson, Connie Hawkins, Jimmy Walker, Paul Silas. Wilt Chamberlain is now in for the West. Hawkins behind Wilt's screen, misses. Billy Cunningham clears it out. Ahead to Jack Marin. And Jack Marin gets that much of a lead on you, forget it. Jack has 4. Walker against Clark. Here's Connie. Shoots over Marin. Wes Unseld, the rebound.
Great outlet pass.
Jack Marin wide open.
You can give Wes Unseld direct credit for that. That's a great outlet pass.
3 bullets. Unseld, Clark, Marin combining for the basket. And the East is back on top by 4. Oscar Robertson and Connie Hawkins. Connie working now against Wes Unseld, and that's not a terribly comfortable place to be. Here's Oscar working the baseline, gets his own rebound, scores, foul. What I mean, that he is strong.
You know, he's probably the strongest backcourt man in the league. You know, Oscar's a big 6'5", and about 210, 215.
He has 4 points in the game now. The foul was on Wes Unseld, his 3rd, the 5th team foul on the East. With 1 minute and 51 seconds. We're inside 2 minutes, and Oscar on the line for a 3-point play. He's got it. A 1-point East lead.
Come on, good D now.
Archie Clark against Walker. Billy Cunningham's pass intended for Marin, checked out of there, deflected by Walker. He's fouled by Jack Marin. Jack was hanging on. Take another look.
Now, these are the kind of plays that make your percentage higher, and this is what gets you keeping the ball game. Hustling, and getting down there and taking the good shots. He got fouled just slightly there.
Jerry Capstein, a good Providence man, just reminding everybody that's where Jimmy played. Yes, sir.
I don't want to bother you about this, Keith, but he's from Boston. You know, the Celtic flavors is everywhere.
Good night, folks. 1 minute and 39 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. The score is tied at 81. And Jimmy Walker on 3 to make 2, misses. 2 out of the 3, and here's Archie Clark, missing. Rebound, Paul Silas. The new slim, trim Paul Silas. Oscar Robertson of the Bucks. Here's Connie Hawkins.
Super move, super move.
West leads by 2, Hawk has 13.
And Oscar Robertson made a great defensive play.
West gets the ball.
You know, when you're trying to guard a guy like Hawkins, he's going to embarrass you. You just hope he don't make it look too bad. I hope he makes a great play so they won't notice who was guarding him.
So, Holler, look out for the popcorn man and get everybody looking the other way when Hawkins has got the ball. Here's Walker. Jimmy Walker of the Detroit Pistons. He has 10 points. Well, the fellas that do the balloting for the most valuable player are going to have their work cut out for them tonight as Havlicek shoots short. And Walker comes out with it. 55 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. West leads by 4, 85-81. West is out on top by 6. Biggest lead of the ball game for the Western Conference All-Stars.
They're ramming right down their throats now. They're just going inside and they're taking those high percentage shots. And you either get 2 points or a free throw, or 2 free throws.
Archie Clark driving for the basket. Foul committed by Paul Silas. His first personal. Here come the substitutions. Havlicek leaves. Lou Hudson returns for the East team. West remains the same. On the line, Archie Clark for the Baltimore Bullets, 5 points and 4 assists, averaging better than 25 points a game for the Bullets. The leaders in the Central Division. Ball club, coached by Gene Shue, beginning to find itself now, starting to play some solid basketball. Oscar Robertson and Lou Hudson against each other as we hit 25 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, and it goes to Wilt. Oscar. And Unseld clears it. 10 seconds. Jack Marin. You take them where you find them. As Marin got by Silas and scored. West by 3 points at the end of the third quarter. We'll be back for the fourth quarter tip-off in just a moment. Our score, after 3, West 87, East 84. 87-84, West scoring 33 points in the third quarter to 20 for the East, taken the lead after 3 and controls the tip. Paul Silas of the Phoenix Suns, Oscar Robertson of Milwaukee, Wilt Chamberlain of the Lakers, Jimmy Walker, Detroit, Connie Hawkins of Phoenix. That's the West lineup. Ball is slapped loose. It is picked up, and a whistle stops it. Back down under the baseline stands Darrell Gerritsen, his arms held high in the air. Loose ball foul called against Lou Hudson of the East, and for Lou, that is his second personal foul. First team, fourth quarter, just getting underway. Silas has the ball slapped out of his hand. Manny Sokol this time calls the foul, and here is a look at the leading scorers in the ball game. As you can see, Walt Frazier sitting up there on top for the East with 15 points. And for the West, Connie Hawkins with an outburst in the third quarter with 13 points. And Connie Hawkins is on the line to shoot the free throw. Missed it. Billy Cunningham right there to grab the rebound. Lou Hudson, Wes Unseld, Jack Marin, and Archie Clark. We've got 3 bullets, a Hawk and a 76er out there for the East team. Archie in a little deep, has to get out in a hurry. Ball bounces off the shoulder of Lou Hudson, and it's picked up by Connie Hawkins. West with the ball, leading by 3 points. 22nd annual NBA All-Star game, and that's Jimmy Walker of the Detroit Pistons on the follow. The follow by Silas 2 times, and the whistle.
Keith, you know what the East squad's doing now? They're overpassing. No guy wants to mess up at the time when the game's tight, so they're overpassing instead of being loose. Taking the shot when you got them, but they still have to take it into the big guys. They got to take it into the bucket.
3 personal fouls on Lou Hudson, and Billy Cunningham goes off the floor. Dave Cowens comes back in. Wes Unseld leaves the lineup, and Bob Kaufman of the Buffalo Braves comes back into the ball game. Well, I think we've reached the point, too, Bill Russell, where everybody's played now. Let's get on with the business of trying to win it.
Yeah, now the coaches have started trying to get their favorable matchups. You know, and guys that can handle other guys and all this kind of stuff, or whatever you want to call it. But the basic thing is the winning team will have to take it and run it down the other team's throat. That's what they're going to have to do.
Paul Silas gets 1 out of the 2 free throws. West leads by 4. Here's Jack Marin in the corner. Pretty play by Jack. Now it's a 2-point West lead as Hawkins handles the ball behind his back. Oscar Robertson against Marin. Beat it inside. Beautiful block in there by Cowens. Chamberlain trying to take it up. Bob Kaufman behind him, and Dave Cowens in front of him, and Kaufman is called for the personal foul. And Bobby 3 now.
See, if you're going to shoot the free throw, you're going to pay for it. They hit him pretty good that time.
Well, now let's see. We've got 10:52 to play, and it shows 4 team fouls. Wilt Chamberlain in the game, 3 points, 5 rebounds. Missed the free throw. Missed the free throw. Comes way out, though, and slapped out by the East rebounders, picked up by Silas for the West. Oscar, Silas, missed it. Paul never really had control of it, couldn't roll it up. Here's Jack Marin. Bob Kaufman. Good pass to Hudson. Partially blocked by Oscar. Rebound, Walker. Or is it Silas? Silas. Oh, look out, Oscar. Got it.
There's a guy doing it all.
7 points.
He blocked the shot the other end and come down and score on the other end. And that's a guy supposed to be all offense, too. He's been playing great defense this year.
Yes, he has. East of the attack in the dark blue, Archie Clark. Comes out. Oscar finds him.
They're not really getting good shots to the East now.
Silas has it blocked by Hudson brilliantly. And Archie Clark comes out with it for the East. 9:50 to go. West ahead by 4 points. Jack Marin with a howitzer.
They're going to have to hit a high percentage of those. They're going to stay in this one.
That must have been a good 30 feet. 9:42 to go in the ball game here in Los Angeles. And our score, the West 90, the East 88.
This is Mr. Taylor's room. Have you seen this guy?
No.
All business. I mean, he gets faxes all the time. Never loosens his tie. But I mean, that's how you make it to the top, Walter. You got to work, you know? But he's in there right now making a deal.
50-yard line! I got the tickets. I'm going to the game. Is that for me? 50.
Okay, Mr. Shapiro, 216.
This is how hundreds of thousands of smokers have quit. It's the gradual step-down method, and you get it only from Nicoderm CQ. Store brand patches have only one step. You can't step down your dose. Nicoderm CQ has 3. You step down gradually, and gradual is the method doctors prefer. Quitting's important. Choose carefully. Nicoderm CQ. The power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
Well, I live out here on a little old farm, and we have a few cows. I got a pickup, 2 tractors, a lawnmower, and a little old boat. Got Everstart batteries in every one of them, except my cow. One in that old pickup's been in there over 4 years. Starts right up every morning.
Everstart, all the cold cranking power you'll ever need.
Don't matter if it's 100 degrees or 0 outside. Starts every time.
Everstart, the name says it all.
My advice is to go to Walmart and get you an Everstart. Get on down the road.
Flexible metal frame. Flex On by Marchand.
You know the facts, you've heard the hype, but only SportsCenter brought you sports' biggest stories with insight, info, and attitude. Now, ESPN Classic goes back in a flash with SportsCenter Flashback. This week, how SportsCenter covered the punishing earthquake that rocked the Bay Area and brought the '89 World Series to a screeching halt. In sports history a whole new way, SportsCenter style. SportsCenter Flashback, tomorrow at 10, only on ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
And you're looking at the lineup as they come out onto the floor. Cassie Russell in there for the West, number 32, handling the ball. Jimmy Walker stays in. Walker been very prominent in the West fortunes here in the second half. It goes to Wilt. Wilt working against Dave Cowens, goes over with a finger roll, and the West has 92, East 88. Now let's see whether or not Chamberlain can become the intimidating defensive factor as the East comes to the attack, whether or not he forces the East to continue to shoot from outside. He comes out to pick up Cowens. Dave drives and scores. Well, Tom Heinsohn says that, you know, his big guy is only 6'9", but he's quicker than most 6'9" people.
You know, I like that, only 6'9".
Yeah. Yeah. Here's Jimmy Walker, Detroit Pistons. Pumps it up short. Cassie Russell, the Golden State Warriors favorite. He'll fire. I'll guarantee you he'll fire. And he got it. West continues to lead by 4, and they steal the ball. Big E, Elvin Hayes in the lineup, number 11. They look at him, but can't find him. Go to Russell. Cassie gunning away. 2 for 2. Since he came back into the lineup, he has 8 points, and the West pulls ahead to a 6-point lead with 8:15 to play in the game. Coming up Sunday, the Seattle Supersonics and the New York Knicks at 2 Eastern Standard Time on ABC as Dave Cowens shoots and misses and Chamberlain rebounds. Russell against Hudson. Elvin Hayes.
Elvin says, you guys better get here pretty quick and I'll have to shoot it.
Cassie saved it, and Archie Clark got caught in the tangle, and the foul is going to be on Archie. Here's a look at the foul, Bill.
Yeah, Archie just caught in the middle of it, and he didn't know what to do. So he says, well, I might as well grab him.
In the first quarter, East scored 33 points, led 33-27. Halftime, it was 64-54. Cassie Russell on the line, gets it 97-90. At the end of three quarters, it was 87-84. The West had taken the lead, and they spurted to that lead with a 33-20 third quarter. So the two free throws, and the West now with its biggest lead of the ball game, 8 points, 98-90, and it's Bob Kaufman, number 44, Buffalo, leaving for Jack Marin. Jack trying to get by Sidney Wicks of the Portland Trail Blazers, and Wicks fouled him.
Keith, I think you'll notice that all the East shots are from 15 feet or further out, most of the shots. So they're not going inside and challenging the guys and passing the ball off, have to get in there or taking the shot, getting free throws. And then they're able to get back on defense. So they're still shooting the fringe shots, and they can't get back in the game shooting the fringe shots.
Jack Marin makes the free throw. Dave DeBuscher, number 22, having come into the lineup. Jerry West is back in for the West team, handling the ball, taking it all the way to the baseline. Goes inside to Wilt Chamberlain. He gives it to Cassie Russell, and Cassie's loose. Misses. Look at that fella, Dave Cowens, go up for that ball. Lead pass from DeBuscher ahead to Marin, back to Dave. You could almost feel that one coming. The rhythm was there all the way, wasn't it?
Right, and they're running down. As long as they can do that, they can get in the game. They got to go down and get the good shot before the other team has a chance to set up. Because they let the big guys set up in the middle, they're going to have to take the 15, 20-footers.
Jerry West brings it up. The West leading by 5, 98-93. Sidney Wicks, the only rookie in the game, going to shoot it over Marin. Wilt Chamberlain inside with a rebound. When Wilt gets it that close, it's pretty hard to handle him. And it's a 7-point lead for the West. Archie Clark feeds his teammate Jack Marin, comes back to Arch. Cassie Russell picks him up. Ball loose from DeBuscher. Saved, however, by Hudson to Marin. Out in front. Jerry West finally gets a handle on it. Here's Sidney Wicks. Air ball. Rebound, Cowens. And he gets the ball to midcourt in a hurry. 14 rebounds, but Jerry West steals it. He's been averaging just under 10 steals a game this season for the Lakers, who've won 41 of 46. And he has 4 in this game. The West still can't get it to drop as Clark finally comes out with it. Look at Cassie Russell come down there and pick some pockets, but he traveled with the ball. Well, that's Elvin Hayes. Big E, Elvin Hayes. Cassie almost got it coming off the sidelines, and then Elvin pursued it. Now watch, you'll see him get a hold of it, but never really control it. And walk with the ball.
Just little steps. He figured that didn't really count, since he didn't cover much ground.
Whistle before the shot, I do believe. He looked at Sidney Wicks. John Havlicek, number 17, coming back in for the East. He replaces Jack Marin. Third foul on Sidney Wicks. So we got a Celtic for a bullet for the East squad, and Baltimore's Archie Clark is on the line.
Archie's having the best year he's had since he's been in the league. He's having an outstanding year.
First game we did back on the Thanksgiving weekend, we saw Archie have a 40-point day, which was a new career high for him. Baltimore game against the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, that was the day he told us. He said that I really am the most underrated player in the league. Remember that?
Yeah. All right, the score as Archie converts at the free throw line is 100-95, a 5-point West lead, and we've got fives all over the place. 5:50 to play in a ball game, and here comes Jerry West. Cassie Russell after the whistle. Now let's check the lineups for you as the ball goes out of bounds to the East. It'll be Walt Frazier and JoJo White in the court for the East. Dave Cowens, John Havlicek, and Dave DeBuscher on the front line. Frazier won't go. Rebound, Sidney Wicks, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Elvin Hayes, and Cassie Russell. Wicks almost losing it. offensive foul is called on Elvin Hayes as he tried to work for position inside his second personal. And in team fouls for the West, that's 2. The East already gone past the 5 team fouls. So with 5:20 to go in a ball game, the West leads 100-95. The East in the dark blue with the ball, and Dave Cowan trying to move, and Matty Sokol Matty suddenly looking inside. He's finding all kinds of things happening in there.
Yeah, they're using a little contact in there. Oscar kind of bumped JoJo pretty good, and but that's what they're going to have to do. Remember, I said this is a contact sport. You know, football's a collision sport. This is contact, and they give real good contact here too, with no pads.
JoJo misses the free throw. Chamberlain clears it out. Oscar has it front court. Wilt, and the foul on White. JoJo couldn't stop. Can't fly, had to fall. He fell right on Wilt's back. Another look at it.
He's breaking right in there to the hoop.
He danced a little too, didn't he?
Yeah, he only hit him about 3 times, though. He hit him on the way up once and on the way down 3 times.
Wilt missed the first free throw. He's 2 for 6 from the line. 101-95, 6-point lead as Cowan shoots for the East. John Havlicek trying to save it, can't do it. And the folks who buy those high-price seats on the sidelines got directly involved in the game that time.
Yeah, get a little sweat on them. They say, well, I was part of the game. I got sweated on.
Yeah. 4:50 to go in the game. West leading 101-95. And a foul, I believe, on Walt Frazier. Program being brought to you as a special exclusive of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow local stations to identify themselves. Seven points in the game for Oscar Robertson. He's at the line. Short off the front rim. So he'll get another shot at it. The East has now committed 7 team fouls. Oscar is 1 out of 4, and now 2 out of 5 from that charity line. The West leads by 7 points as Frazier brings it down, and time becomes a factor. 4:40 to play. It's picked off by Spencer Haywood for the West. Ahead to Jerry West. Hit hard by Walt Frazier. And foul, Walter.
I think that's a classic confrontation, those 2 guys, Frazier and West playing against each other.
It's the second personal foul on Frazier.
Now, they're both so much alike. They both play great defense. They're great offensive players. And what's really more important is those guys never miss in the last quarter. They go down in the last quarter, and they want the ball, too. And they go in there, no matter what the situation, they're great shooters under pressure.
I see what you did. Jerry just missed that.
That figures.
6 points, 5 assists, 4 steals. He has now 7 points as he makes the second free throw. 4.5 minutes to go in a ball game. It's an 8-point lead for the West team. JoJo White looking for some room. Feeds it inside to Havlicek. He's cut off by Oscar Robertson. Oscar is called for the foul.
And you see on that foul, Oscar didn't draw blood, so he figures that's really not a foul. That's a little cheap if you don't draw blood, or at least raise a bump on him.
Second personal on Oscar. And the 4th team foul on the West, and we've got a time here at the Forum in Los Angeles, California.
This is ESPN Classic.
As John Havlicek goes to the free throw line for the East team, check the East lineup. Dave DeBuscher, JoJo White, Dave Cowan, Walt Frazier. For the West, Jerry West, Spencer Haywood, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, and Cassie Russell. John Havlicek totals 9, 4:20 to go in a ball game. West leads 103-96. Oscar Robertson and Jerry West, the backcourt men. Bill Sherman, coach. Western All-Stars.
Clear, Dave.
Spencer Haywood puts it up. And Jerry West comes out of there with it. 5 rebounds for Jerry West. Oscar, Walt Frazier. Back to Haywood. Blocked, taken away by Dave DeBuscher.
That was an outstanding defensive play. They each played good defense on that sequence. Real good defense.
White. In and out. Rebound. Dave DeBuscher. JoJo leaves it off to Walt. Worked hard for it, can't get it down. Slap it out, whistle. Loose ball foul called on somebody.
Dave Cowens.
Dave Cowens. 4 personal fouls. They are in the bonus situation, so they march to the other end of the court. Dave Cowens shaking his head, and Wilt Chamberlain heading for the free throw line. Wilt Chamberlain with 8 points and 2 out of 6 from the free throw line. Yes, Bill?
I think it's interesting to note in the last quarter here, the East team has 9 team fouls and the West team has 14 fouls. And the way you get into the foul trouble, you get the other team into foul trouble, that is, you have to go to the bucket and, penetrate. And then you get the other team in foul trouble early. And then every foul hurts them.
Well, Wilt missed 2. He's 2 for 8 from the free throw line. Jerry West comes up with another steal. That's 5 times. He's stolen the ball tonight.
You see, the reason he's only got 5, he hadn't played the whole game. If he played the whole game like he usually does for the Lakers, he'd have his 10.
That's probably very true. But they do not score. And the East comes back. And Jerry comes up with number 6. Dave Cowens. And West scores. 9 points. 6 steals. Ball got away, but DeBuscher picked it up and dropped it through. Any comments, Bill, on why Wilt Chamberlain's gone the fourth quarter?
Why what?
Why Wilt Chamberlain has played most of the quarter instead of Kareem Jabbar?
Well, I think Wilt is much better defensively. And I think that in order to break a game open, you got to stop the other guys. Not only do you have to score, but you got to stop the other guys. And Sharman has guys out there that can score for him. And so by putting Wilt in the middle there, he can slow down the other guys and make them take that outside shot, which is not a good percentage shot.
Okay, Wilt Chamberlain on a loose ball foul. That's his first personal of the ball game, the 5th team foul on the West. And Billy Cunningham will go to the free throw line to shoot for the East. We have 2 minutes and 25 seconds to play in the ball game. And part of the crowd of 17,505 now beginning to stir around a little bit. Billy Cunningham with 12 points. He has 10 rebounds. Missed the first free throw. And time called by the East team with only 2:25 left to play at the 22nd annual NBA All-Star Game. Our score, West 105, East 98.
Giving your deck a facelift is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Creating the perfect patio is a snap, step by step. With decks, porches, and patios, you can get step-by-step help for all your outdoor projects. It's filled with crystal clear color illustrations to guide you every step of the way on dozens of projects. Plus, there's a lie-flat binding so you can keep your hands busy on the job. Now you can take the first step by ordering decks, porches, and patios.
This is ESPN Classic.
As we come on to the floor now for resumption of play at 2:25 to go in a ball game. On the free throw line will be Billy Cunningham of the Philadelphia 76ers, right there.
He's going to give him a break. He's going to shoot this one left-handed.
He missed it. Rebound cleared by Dave Cowens and Oscar Robertson trying to steal the ball away. Dave Cowens, 15 rebounds in the ball game, and Oscar gets nabbed with a foul, number 1, the Milwaukee Bucks for the West. The East team, Dave DeBuscher, Billy Cunningham, Dave Cowens, John Havlicek, and Walt Frazier. For the West, it's Haywood, Chamberlain, Robertson, West, Russell, and Cowens makes the first free throw. Game is not over at all, 105-99. We've got 2:24 to play. The East hits 100. It's a 5-point West lead, 105-100, and Cassie Russell trying to get out of backcourt. Billy Cunningham pressing it. Cassie's got room. Cowan, 16 rebounds. Walt Frazier up court for the East. Cunningham almost lost it to West. Billy drives and a foul.
That's what he's got to do. That was a good play. See, he went by the bucket and he went under to make Chamberlain have to go through the backboard, so to speak, or through the rim in order to block it. But that's what they got to do. So you can pick up fouls that way or either a good shot.
And for Wilt, that's his second personal foul. 2:03 to go in the game, and Cunningham makes the first one. It's now a 4-point West lead. Well, for a moment it looked almost comfortable. But now it does not look comfortable at all. Only a 3-point lead, 105-102. And the East pressing. Russell gets the inbounds play. Here's Oscar trying to get it up against John Havlicek. West leads by 3. We go inside 2 minutes at 1:55 to play. Oscar trying to take it all away, and coming from the back door, Billy Cunningham. Havlicek was there. Who got the foul? Billy Cunningham. And for Billy, that's 4. There he is. He was a big man on campus at Chapel Hill in those collegiate days.
You know, this guy, Oscar, has been in, this is his 12th All-Star game, and he's been on 10 winning teams so far. I wonder if he's got anything to do with it.
He's played on a lot of winning teams in a lot of places, that fellow. He makes the first free throw and gives the West a 4-point lead. Yes, he'll get the bonus shot. 3 to make 2. East has committed 10 fouls here in the fourth quarter. Got a lot of them early. Oh, he missed 2 out of the 3. So the East with the ball as Walt Frazier comes out of there trailing by 4 points in 1:45 to play. Jerry West after him. Havlicek, top of the key. Now the West leads by only 2. And the East pressing full court. Robertson against Havlicek. 1.5 to play in a ball game. A 2-point West lead. East leads in the series 14-7. Jerry West with the ball, has room. And the Los Angeles crowd thunders their appreciation of Jerry West, 11 points. And it's a 4-point West lead at 1:15 to go in the game. Frazier had to get rid of it, and Havlicek saved it. A good defensive play by West, forcing Walt to do that. West almost stole it again, but Havlicek scores. Well, the East fights back and trail by only 2 with 1:02 to play in the game. They're serious.
Those
now.
4 guys you see right there are 4 of the greatest players that ever played this game. Havlicek, West, Frazier, and Oscar.
Oscar go all the way, but a whistle stopped it before the shot. And Manny Sokol calls the foul and draws the ire of sweet gentle Tom Heinsohn. Tommy was laughing yesterday. He says, I don't know if my voice is going to hold out for the rest of the season. He's become quite an orator on that bench. Foul was on Havlicek.
Orator, huh?
Orator, yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Oscar on the line, 47 seconds to play in the game, and he knocks the first one through. There's Tommy. Oh, he was a competitor, wasn't he?
Definitely.
Still is. Oscar makes 2. And it's a 4-point lead, and time is called with 47 seconds to play in the ball game. We'll be back for the finish in just a moment.
College, Monday at 7 on ESPN Classic.
Named the last team to sweep a World Series.
If you can beat these guys, you know you're old school.
Here's a look at the leading scorers for the East with 47 seconds to play in the ball game, and the West leading the East by a score of 110-106. The leading scorers for the West, Connie Hawkins has not played in some time. You see Jerry West now has moved up into the double figures along with Oscar Robertson. So a lot of fellas in double figures. Everybody has played tonight. We've come down to the final 47 seconds to settle it. The East will send out Billy Cunningham, Walt Frazier, John Havlicek, Dave Cowens, and Dave DeBuscher. Here's a shot by Havlicek. And it's a 2-point West lead. It comes inside to Jerry West, now Oscar, Wilt Chamberlain, Cassie Russell, and Spencer Haywood. That's been the combination that Bill Sharman elected to go with here in the final moments of the ball game. 25 seconds to play. Cassie Russell of the Golden State Warriors. Short off the front rim. They had to shoot it. Here comes Frazier. The East could tie it. 13 seconds. Cunningham drives. Dave Cowens scores ties. Cowens hits the bucket. And we're tied at 110. And time is called with 11 seconds to play.
This will give you ulcers.
Well, you know, for a brief time, it looked like the West was going to run away with it and win it rather comfortably.
Well, that's what's so great about these games. It's never over. It's never over. Now, they're going to probably wait until there's about 2 seconds to go, maybe 1 even, because even if they miss, they haven't lost it. But right, so they don't want to give the other team a chance to get another shot off, so they're going to wait probably to the last second. But most likely they'll try to shoot with maybe 2 or 3 seconds so there's a chance for a tip-in case they miss.
You've got a team of all-stars. Great. I assume that same lineup will come back on the court. Who will take the shot?
Well, I'd have to go with either Oscar or West, either one. Not knowing, not even thinking about who the other guys are. Those 2 guys out there, either one of those guys is my shooter.
Not too bad. Bart, if you're the East now, the monkey's on your back. What can you do?
Well, I'm going to try to give the guy throwing the ball inbounds a lot of grief. Really play him out there, try to make it a tough pass.
What you want to do is make the West have to shoot in a hurry.
Right, I want to make them shoot from a distance. I don't want to let them get inside. So I'm making a pass so I try to make them get it close to clear it out of bounds maybe. And I try to make it tough. Now, if West is taken out, I try to make it tough for Oscar to get the ball. So they'll probably have to give it to Cassie Russell, and he'll probably go toward half court. He said to pick for Oscar.
It comes to Oscar, and it's almost stolen by Frazier. Knocked out of bounds. They use 2 seconds. 9 seconds to play.
They still got to go to the front court. Now you're going to have Jerry West probably get it, and he's going to try to go all the way, most likely.
8 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3,
2 points.
2. It's over!
You can see that coming. You know he's going to get the 2. But the game's not over yet.
It's not over. 1 tick of the clock left. Tick of the clock. And there is Mrs. Jerry West.
You can anticipate that going in.
Yes, sir.
You can see that in the back court.
Well, you call time, and the East team had been trying to do exactly that. The moment that ball hit the twine, time was called, and by calling time, you pick up 47 of the 94 feet of court.
Right, they got to throw the ball in the front court. And they got just enough time to get the ball in and take a shot. So they're going to probably try to get the pass to someone on the baseline or somewhere near the foul line. Because they don't have time to dribble or anything. They got to take that ball and take that shot all in one motion.
You would assume that Tom Heinzman will send the same group of men out. Cowens, Cunningham, Frazier, Havlicek.
They got 3 guys they could give a shot to. Frazier, Havlicek.
Well, it was Cowens who tied it. DeBuscher will play it in.
I was going to say DeBuscher, but since he's taken out of bounds.
It may be Cowens. He may try to get away from Wilt.
I think Wilt will follow him out now.
Stolen by Russell. The ball game is over. So Jerry West, who hit the basket with 1 second to go to win it for the West, 112 to 110, is the most valuable player in the ball game. Jerry West. Wow. Walter Kennedy comes onto the floor, the commissioner of the NBA, to make the trophy presentation to the most valuable player. Jerry West with 13 points. He stole the ball 6 times. He scored 7 points in the 4th quarter, and he hit the basket that won the ball game for the West, 112 to 110. And now the series stands 14 wins for the East, 8 wins for the West. So a man named West wins it for the West. Final score, the West 112, the East 110. From the Forum in Los Angeles, California.
Jerry West on his home court gets the winning shot. In 1972, the season would end, of course, with Wilt's second championship. And Fred, here he was with his second chance, his second purchase on NBA title. And again, adjusting his game and with a marvelous surrounding cast.
Oh, no question about it. Supporting cast, Goodrich and Jerry West, 2 guys that conveniently smoked me whenever they wanted to. Those guys got 25 a game. But Wilt, at that age of 35, was still able to get 19 points a game. Even though he was his 4th leading scorer on the ball club, he showed his versatility.
Chamberlain, 4th leading scorer, but that was the team, of course, that had the record 33 consecutive game winning streak. He would play one more year after this 1971-72 season. You played him 4 times a year, even in the Eastern Conference back in those good old days. Could you get a sense that even as strong and as big as he was up there in his getting to be later 30s?
Well, you could tell because the quickness is starting to ebb. It's starting to subside. And what happened, we played in the game in L.A. I managed to get into the lane, bad Laker defense. Wilt was late getting there, so I got in the air over him, made the lay-in. Bill Sharman called timeout, yelling at his team for bad defense. We go back to our bench. My teammates are high-fiving me, and all of a sudden Bob Rule grabs my shirt and says, Fred, if you had dunked it, because they wanted me to dunk it on him, he said, I would have kicked your butt. Bob knew the rule. You don't make the big fella mad. I could tell, though, the legs and the quickness was going anytime Fred Carter can get to the basket and beat him there.
He is gone, and throughout the entire world of basketball, people are swapping stories like this for this past week. And he leaves, I guess, in our mind's eye as that giant. He dies suddenly, tragically, certainly, but Wilt Chamberlain, we have that image fixed forever of the big guy, the big man.
The big man, the big fella. Everyone else is just tall.
Wow. Fred, this has been fun, swapping stories and watching all these games. Fred Carter, our ESPN NBA analyst, another Philadelphian who can appreciate what Wilt brought to this game, and we will continue on a giant legacy with an encore presentation of Up Close with Roy Firestone. Wilt Chamberlain leaving us this past week at the age of 63, leaving behind an incredible legacy in the annals of sport.
I realized that Bailey was getting a little frustrated with his homework, especially his reading. I didn't want him to fall behind.
The best program I have found for parents to use with their child is Hooked on Phonics. I recommended Hooked on Phonics to Bailey's mom because it is very...
Wilt Chamberlain to do any facet of the game, whether it's passing, rebounding, blocking shots, or what have you, and I believe I could do it as well as anybody or better. I enjoy what God gave me in a physical sense, and you know, I'm just amazed sometimes at how people treat me. People view you in a certain way, and because you're a foot taller or so than the average guy, to them that foot sometimes is 5 or 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Roy Firestone, and this is an up-close primetime retrospective. For most of his career, Wilt Chamberlain was the most dominating force in the history of basketball.